prepared?
I think so.
Think so.
Yeah,
I actually have my ducks in a row for a change, or at least close to being in a row. There might be like a rando duck with a knife running off in the opposite direction.
whack, whack, whack.
Punk duck. So this is session 16. Yikes. Yikes. It's been almost 2 years.
Blimey.
We've made so much progress.
Yeah, we've moved like a couple of miles.
I mean, really, from the beginning of the campaign, it's been at least a month, maybe 5 weeks. But since we really started this in earnest, it's been like 6 days, I guess. Yay, progress. So housekeeping, I guess I don't have really any housekeeping except for the prototype of the new and improved moonshine cherries are in effect today.
Ooh.
And looking at the thing, I realized that I might have made a miscalculation because these cherries are larger than the little dinky maraschino cherries that come in the other moonshine jar.
So they'll get you quicker.
Yeah, if you guys roll a lot of nat 20s, I could be in trouble. But I did sample one the other day, and they taste better. It's
cool.
It's still a cherry and moonshine, so I mean, there are limits, but it's much better than the toxic waste that the other jar has become. Even though that jar's not finished, I just couldn't stand it. I was like, I'm gonna do these today and see how it goes before I commit to finishing off that other jar. Oh, and the other thing is, I don't know what you guys want to do, but I mean, when the 1D&D test info was coming out, we added some things and changed some things to reflect what was in there, i.e. like the ranger and the paladin have access to cantrips now. I want to keep doing that. I'm kind of ignoring, I think they came out with new playtest materials, but I'm ignoring it at this point. The only other thing I wanted to ask you guys about is the inspiration dice. They had 2 different scenarios, one like where you get an inspiration when you roll a nat 20, and the other one where you get an inspiration when you roll a natural 1.
Based on my dice rolls, I would prefer to go with the natural 1.
Do you want to keep doing that? Because I was kind of like, well, screw nat 20s. You know, nat 20s are already nat 20s. But I was thinking that either we keep doing the give a inspiration if you roll a natural 1. You can't immediately use it on that roll, but you could use it on any roll after. Or just be like, let's go back to that primordial state where everybody forgets that inspiration exists.
I mean,
we're usually kind of dancing around that state anyhow.
Yeah.
Because it's odd that
If we
anybody's
forget.
gonna remember anything. It's pretty slim. But if you guys are all on board, we can actively try to like remember to give people inspirations if they're all nat 1s.
I mean, I don't mind. It's just nice to have that. Like, it's. I mean, I suppose, especially for me, because I roll so shit. It's just like that extra chance to have a way of rolling better at some point.
So even if you might have a disappointing moment, then you won't maybe consistently roll like shit because you'll have something you can use the next time things go bad. There'll still be the max of 2 because I haven't done anything to Fantasy Grounds to allow for more than 2 little pips for inspirations. I mean, do you guys have inspirations right now? I didn't even look to see.
No,
if
I've used mine.
I've got one.
And Kai is not inspired.
Not.
Okay, so Yelena's the only one
No.
who has any inspiration right now.
That's because she rolls so well.
Because she does. Well, the things that Yelena is good at, she's really good at, and you roll super high numbers.
I seem like last time was the payback, though. I seem to remember a lot of bad rolls last session.
I mean, I think the trickiest time is when you're in close combat and you can't shoot things in the face. Because your to hit goes down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the housekeeping I had. So on to the summary of what session 15 was, which, let's see. You escaped an assault from the Crushing Wave cult on their elemental rivals. You rescued your employer, Lady Belafana Than. Several members of the caravan you've been hired to escort to Parnas. That's like Ragnar Redtooth and Badger Sweeney, the stone mason / architect. And then several captives that had been taken from the town of Secomber, the place where your caravan is currently taking a little stop on the road. You all narrowly avoided drowning, only to find you needed to traverse the underground warrens of the Dust Goblins, who seem to have been working in league with the cult of Black Earth. Using stealth, disguise, and fast talking, you've almost navigated your way through their underground village. I did peer pressure you into opening some crypts and fighting some skeletons.
Yeah, but they got shinies out of it.
You got some shinies out of it. Also combat. I mean, I get squirrely. When you guys have gone like more than 2 sessions without any kind of combats, I start getting squirrely that I'm like failing this combat tactical game. Because it's like when we started off, there was like a really long time before you finally had to combat, and then I had all this performance anxiety. You did bypass one exit that seemed to lead to the surface, choosing a return path to Secomber via the sewers at that point instead. Continuing through the warrens, you learned that the Dust Goblins had a substance they called Boompowder, and there's some kind of plan afoot. You convinced some of the guards that you were cultists sent to smuggle supplies back to Secomber, though they were just like guards standing around. Left to continue your passage after talking to those people and convincing them that you were there for a good reason. You came upon a junction. There was a ladder that traveled up to your west where you could hear the sounds of small explosions and shouts, busy work. And then there was a passage to your east where you could hear the sounds of goblins gathering with some laughter and conversation. And then to the north, there was a path that was silent that I think Yelena estimated was probably the continuation toward the sewers.
It's Kai.
Kai?
Mm.
Oh, Kai figured that out.
According, I have Kai believes insight check the way out is to the north. So
oh, excellent. Okay, it was insight check. Okay. I think I just assumed when I backtracked that it was like when I made notes that it was survival.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. I would have expected it to be Yelena as well.
That's why Kai got a gold star.
That's right.
You decided to send Yelena up the ladder and to scout to the west. She spots what looks like a goblin alchemist wearing some garb affiliated with the cult of Black Earth and 2 goblin workers with him. The workers are getting a little distracted with Boompowder explosions until their boss shouts at them to get back to work, saying, "We have to make 3 barrels full before misrule." Kai, with the tradition he had with his uncle where they celebrate Surfacer holidays to learn about Surfacer culture and history, I guess in order to defeat them more betterer, instantly recognized Misrule was a reference to the reign of Misrule, a celebration that is a little bit Mardi Gras, a little bit April Fool's Day. That holiday is 5 days hence on the 10th of Marbanoth. So that's where we left off, unless there's something else from your notes that I've left out that you think is important.
I don't think so. No.
Like last
session. I've got details of what Belafana overheard, but I think that's more important once we get back to Secomber.
You did tell Belafana that there had been a job posting to capture her wyvern.
Yes, we did.
And she's a little bit concerned.
But mainly, we all want to know what the green boots will do for Yelena.
Yeah, there hasn't been a chance to identify them. They're green and they're boots. So that's a win right there.
Exactly.
Only
a little bit corpsey.
They'll air.
Not too much stank on them.
Not too much stank.
It's like going to a consignment store or something.
Exactly. Just sprinkle some baking soda in them.
I mean, sometimes they tell you don't buy used shoes. But some of these they don't make anymore, What are you going to do? Disinfect. There's something else. Your Sprinkles the owlbear is continues to be a goose because you use the polymorph dust on Sprinkles to escape the flooding mines. To get her through a little itty bitty space that didn't quite fit her big old owlbear baby butt. And we're continuing to use a universal villager NPC that is like the mecha villager combination of all the villagers that you're escorting rather than escort like 85 of them. Or 5. I mean, anything more than 1 is probably too much. So that continues. So Yelena has scouted what she's scouted so far. Now what?
Well, we made a choice to go north towards the boom maker, which is a guy on the ledge, who we've overheard one of them talking. So I don't know whether we wanted to try and continue the ruse and try and find out what they were doing, or just take whatever it is they're making and abscond with it, so the cultists don't have it. Although if they've got 3 barrels to make, I'm not sure whether they can do that now. That sounds like they still need more time to finish whatever it is they're doing.
Like they're still working on it?
Well, we can either murderate them, or...
I mean, that is an option as well. But would we end up bringing the rest of the goblin clan down on us if we did that?
Maybe. What does the wise Yelena think?
What does the what think?
Wise Yelena, she said.
Wise Yelena, me?
Wise? You're calling me wise?
You said wise lady. I'm like, who's that?
Wow, wise Yelena.
So are we trying to bluff our way out to talk to
we
this
have
guy?
been doing. But, it's whether or not we want to continue that and see if we can get whatever it is they're making.
I think it's a good idea.
What is now is what approach are you guys taking to address this? If any. If any.
Alright, well we've still got those masks on, haven't we?
Yeah.
So I reckon if one of us just goes up the ladder and says, hey, we've been sent to pick up some stuff to take to Secomber. Are you guys ready yet? Something like that. I can't think of it. Yeah?
People are aggressively agreeing with you.
Aggressively, yes.
I know. Alright.
I sense confidence.
I'm just, looking at my skills and, maybe somebody else.
Well, supposedly I've got high charisma, but I think we've already mentioned my dice rolls, but I will happily give it a try. Because it would be maybe a deception, I suppose.
I could try. I've got pretty good deception.
All right.
Yeah, you do have that little mechanic for your whatever your class is, Fey Wanderer, where you get to use your wisdom bonus on your charisma ability checks.
Nice.
Okay, then I'll just stand around looking like a guard with the slaves in sarcastic quotes.
So you're gonna bring this because this is all like climbing up the ladder to this location. Are you bringing the slaves with you, or
No, No, I think if just one of us sort of like climbs
Or-
up and pops over and says, "Look, we're here.
All
We've
the-
got these.
The captives.
We've got these guys. Yeah, they're here to help us transport stuff to Secomber.
Yeah.
We've been told to come and pick it up, sort of thing."
What about the goose?
I will.
What about the goose?
Yeah.
We got a goose. Snack. It's a snack for later.
I will point at Sprinkles and then point right to the wall, so she's right up against the wall, where hopefully they won't be able to see her.
Are you telling Sprinkles to hide?
More stealth, I think, to just stay quiet.
Well, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna make you do a stealth check for Sprinkles
Okay, so that's
during this
Dex
operation.
save or check?
That will be a Dex check.
Okay.
Unless she might have on her sheet that she has a bonus to stealth if she's proficient in it.
Alright, hang on. Well,
I
that's
don't
what I
think
rolled
an
anyway.
owlbear is. I don't think a goose is either.
No, I don't think she's got anything for that, but I'll just double check.
Nah, she doesn't. She just has intimidation.
Right, okay, then she rolled a 14.
Okay. So, being very stealthy for a goose. Like, you've never seen a goose almost tiptoe over to a corner before. She flutters her wings a little bit, but she doesn't squawk. She doesn't bark or whatever. Quack, quack. Well, do geese quack? She doesn't hiss.
They honk.
She doesn't honk.
But the geese that we have in our park just tend to hiss at us, to be fair, so...
They honk as well.
Do they?
Yeah.
Just hiss at me.
She tries to not honk, and and she does. You think she's done a pretty good job for a goose, especially an owlbear who's not quite used to being a goose, at being as quiet and kind of blending into the shadows with her feathers. So she's like kind of tucked in, like by the ladder, but like behind the ladder a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like she could like reach her beak out and snap somebody on the ankles if she has to.
Okay.
And you're bringing along the rescued villagers and
Yeah,
and
I mean-
Belafauna and all them.
Yeah, again, just sort of like hand gesture to them, I guess. Stand there. Don't move. Head down, sort of thing, and we just stand with them as if we're guarding them.
So position yourselves accordingly. I'm assuming you're going up to the ledge to engage.
See, I was thinking I would stay down there to look like
You'd
we're
stay
guarding
down
these
with
guys.
them.
Yeah.
And then just like Yelena goes up. Or
I'm
Yelena
I mean,
Yelena
if
up
Yelena's
high.
all right with that, I mean, I'm not even saying go up on the ledge, just stick your head over. And then if they do, I think we're lying or whatever, you can just slide way back down and we run to the north.
Like,
Yep,
don't
like-
commit. Don't commit to the full climb up.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just checking in. Is that ready yet?
Keep one
Yeah.
foot on the ladder.
Mm-hmm. At all times. I mean, they're short anyway, right? So
Okay.
So I'll do that. I'll get up the ladder. I'll just sort of pop my head over with mask on.
You assume your positions.
I
I'm
assume my
gonna
position.
move these rescue townspeople to be closer to you guys.
Mhm.
And then Sprinkles. Well, Sprinkles is like over here somewhere, like hiding.
And so Yelena just pops up there, and
what's your approach?
my approach is I just come up and I just sort of wave and I said, "Hey, is the stuff ready yet?"
You have to almost shout at one point to like get their attention because the goblin workers are a little bit distracted sometimes. They get really busy, but they can be easily distracted if there's a little minor explosion of powder or something, a spark of this or that, or a little sizzle here and there. They're not totally on their task, and it's a little bit noisy. But the leader is the first one to look over at you. What seems to be the head alchemist, the one wearing the black earth garb. And when he does notice you, his head just kind of turns very quickly. Like suddenly he's realized you're present there, and he is kind of immediately laser focused on you. He's not wearing a mask. He's just wearing like some of the stone plates that you've seen before. So you see he's like squinting at you. Do an insight check. With a 14, you kind of get the feeling that this guy isn't exactly like the goblins you've interacted with so far in this village of the dust. He seems like a little bit immediately a little bit more calculating and intelligent, trying to measure what you're doing there. And he nods very briefly. Says, "What do you want?"
What was it they called it again? The boom.
Powder.
Boompowder.
Boompowder. And remind me, were we supposed to take it out? Was somebody supposed to take it into town?
Yeah.
We've heard him say that they need 3 barrels making, and
Mhm.
Yeah, at one point when you interacted with or you eavesdropped, or you either interacted or listened
Right.
in on people, you heard them saying something about they needed to deliver it for that day. But you
Yeah.
also heard in talking with one of the guards, I think they assumed that maybe you were there to pick some up.
That's right.
Yeah, they asked us that, and we just went along with it.
One of the just regular guards down to the south.
Yeah, we heard that some Boompowder needed to be taken into town. We're running some errands. We can pick that up for you if it's ready. If not, we'll come back and get it later.
Make a deception check.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, roll. Oh yeah. Okay, I heard
Yeah, boy.
talking about how smart he is, and then he's like, nah, okay.
Well, he decided to be stupid in that moment. That's okay. We all have those days.
He's got a lot on his plate, it's really busy.
Exactly.
And he nods. And he says, we do not have it all ready yet.
Okay. Do you have
And
some of it ready, or should we just come back later?
He tilts a little.
Either.
Who sent you?
Oh God. We have names.
I haven't made a note of it.
Who was my butt?
Russell.
Russell
the Tabaxi from the Honeyfest Fair. He was mentioned. Queen Understone has something to do with their worship.
His posture seems a little bit like he's not very suspicious, and you see he's kind of like bustling around the workspace, like he is gathering some things together, like possibly for the transfer. And he does talk a little bit casually about you are a bit early.
Coincidental. Just thought we would check in. If not, no worries. We'll be back later.
There is one barrel fully prepared.
Do you want us to take it? We can take it now and come back and get the others.
When would you come back? I believe we have 4 days was the original agreement.
Okay. How many days has it been?
Well, we know that we've heard them say that they're planning something for that festival that's in 5 days.
Oh,
So
okay.
it makes sense that they've been told to have it ready the day before.
Gotcha.
So
it's up to if it helps to go ahead and take some up there. Happy to help you out. No rush, like I said. If you want us to come back and get it and take it all up at the same time, we can do that too.
No, because of the nature, it is perhaps good if you go ahead and take this barrel. I don't recognize your voice. Have you been here before?
I've been down here a little while.
Ah,
Not technically a lie. It feels like we've been down here a long time.
yeah, it does.
I know I don't want to seem rude, but could you take off your mask?
I mean, is it gonna matter? Are they gonna
See if I
recognize
can-
this from
If I
anything?
can place your face. I try to
see.
remember
Is he
names
saying he knows everyone in the
since
cult?
we are working together.
Hold on, I want to see. What have I got here?
See, what is your name again? Is it Bobby? No, your name is. Are you a Bobby?
No, it's not Bobby. We can play a guessing game. I'm distracted with that.
He's scratching his head. I'm sorry. I am terrible with names. What kind of creature are you? You're tall. One of those human, maybe a little elf.
I was trying to read what the otherworldly glamour does. Does it sort of distract people from your face in some way?
I think that's your smell.
Well, I'm just gonna raise an armpit at him.
No, the lavender smell.
Lavender.
I think is what it is.
Smell.
Yeah, and he starts
That can help me.
sniffing. It's like it's very. Have we met? Because this fragrance is very unusual.
It's my new perfume.
Oh, your otherworldly glamour is the thing where your wisdom modifier applies to all your charisma
Okay,
checks.
gotcha.
I think
I'm
this
trying
is
to
like
see.
the fourth time. The fourth time we have to like remember exactly what that's called. What is that called again? So do you like lift your mask and show your face at all?
Yeah, sure. I just sort of pop it up.
And he sees you. Yeah, I get to place your face. Yes.
I've been around a while.
Who did you say sent you again?
We'll just say Russell.
Russell. Oh, Russell. Oh, of course. What was your name again?
Lavender.
Lavender. I'm going to make a note of that. I'm trying to be, well, normally we don't work together with tall people, but I am making an effort in my people skills. So he writes down lavender, and then he makes this little kind of really poor drawing. It seems to be like drawing something about like trying to remember what you look like and connect the name. And then he like barks something out in Goblinoid, which I think Kai would understand if Kai was closer. And the other two goblins kind of scuffle forward, drop what they're doing, and move towards a barrel that seems to be pretty hefty. It takes these two goblins, like, they have to struggle to like hooft it over closer to the ladder where you are. Then the alchemist goblin, he says that the shipment is a mixture of the items ordered, as discussed previously.
Excellent.
So, were you briefed on how to tell them apart?
Remind me again.
I want to say, if he's the expert, maybe we can say, obviously, maybe you should
Yeah,
because
remind
if someone's
us.
given us the wrong information.
Shall I review so you don't accidentally give the wrong one to the captain?
Absolutely, yes. Can't be too careful.
There are 3 varieties. First, there is the fairy sparkler. It is identifiable by the purple stripe going down the side. These are quite harmless and distracting. They make children laugh, I'm told. They make goblins laugh too. Yes, these are very nice work. There are also the crystals. And he holds up the crystals. These are pretty self-explanatory. They look like crystals. Also, quite a nice little pyrotechnic presentation. Yes. Fun, I'm told. And then lastly, he picks up these look very much like the fairy sparklers, but they're completely black in their casing. These are the special ones. Do not expose them to light. Alright, so we're going to put them back in the barrel. We have found, through experimentation, green light is okay. Green flame is okay. But anything else, you need to run.
Good to know.
Alright. Well, is the barrel.
Now, can I take that barrel down, or am I going to need help with it?
Well, how strong are you?
So I'm assuming I've bopped up on the ledge. Can I try to sort of feel it out if I can lift it?
How strong are you?
Probably not super strong.
Do a strength check. And also since you bopped up on the ledge, do a perception throw as well.
Nope, don't see nothing.
So you're pretty focused on this barrel. So you don't pick up any other details about what might be up on this platform on the workbench.
So just a straight up strength check?
Yep.
Oh!
Yeah,
That was almost good.
So in your distraction, you're trying to pick up this barrel. You're like, you give it, like, you're like gonna dig in. You're like, act like, hey, I've been sitting here to pick up a barrel of stuff, so I probably am supposed to be strong. And so you try to bench press this barrel and like lift, with your back, but it doesn't budge. So you're gonna need help to get it.
Yes. So I'm just gonna
more buff than you.
look over. Do I see Terrell?
Yeah.
Do I make eye contact? And I'm just gonna wave. I'm not gonna call out her name. I'm just gonna say, "Come on up. Let's get this."
Okay. I tell the 2 dwarves to go to the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking maybe we can pass it down to them.
Pass it down to them. I like
Yeah.
it. We'll do that.
I bop up the ladder.
Alright.
Strength check.
Do a strength check with advantage since you're doing it as a group effort.
Okay, strength check. Come on. Yes.
That's good.
The alchemist sees
Got
you and
218.
Terrell and nods. He's like, "Oh, someone else. Do I know you? What is your name? Please show me your face."
I lift my mask, but then I sort of like gesture as if I can't talk.
What does that mean?
She's mute.
Oh, a mute.
I do the cultist triangle symbol to them.
Ah, yes, he doesn't return. He nods. He's again kind of like drawing a little picture and seems to be writing down the word mute. And he nods. He's like, yes, there are members of my tribe I wish were mute. And with that note, there's like a little poof explosion, whee, of a firework as one of the workers gets into something. So you successfully maneuver the barrel down the ladder to where everyone else is waiting. And as you go, the alchemist kind of like waves you away and is, "Are you checking in with Chief Grada before you go?"
Where's the chief?
You don't know where the chief is.
At the moment, no.
Oh, he's
Chief can be anywhere.
He is at his his throne area. They're having the feast for dinner. It is a strange day. There was our allies were attacked. You are allies. You were attacked today.
Yes, we were. Not fun.
Word reached us swiftly.
Bad day.
Yes, very few goblins died. It was interesting. We are very swift.
Excellent.
He's like kind of creepy in how he's like laughing about how goblins fared so much better in this attack than the other cultists did.
I'm just trying. Do I have any sense of where this throne? Are we going north? Is it taking us to the throne room?
He said to the east. So based off of your previous kind of scoping out, you think that's the direction where the sounds of feasting and like some laughing and sounds of congregated goblins was coming from.
Mm-hmm. Were we heading in that direction anyway?
No, we said we were gonna. Well,
it was one of your options. Like you could go to the east and check that out, but there's also to the north, which you would identify, which Kai identified was probably the sewerly direction.
I mean, I'd be tempted to make out. You know, we need to get to Secomber. We've got orders, and
yeah.
Do we need? I mean, if we've got what they've been making, then we don't really need to go to the source of the Boompowder. Potentially, unless we want to sabotage it. But you know, I feel like maybe that's a come back and do job.
Come back and do the source of the Boompowder is what you're saying?
Maybe.
And after getting
these lot out, and maybe warning someone that something's going to happen in 5 days' time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you say you're not checking in. You're just headed back because of your orders.
Well, I'm not saying out because I've got to.
Okay.
Since I don't have to talk.
we're metagaming a little bit. Yeah, we'll basically convey that. Look, we're in a hurry. We got to get this out to town, and we will check in with the chief when we come back. He knows what we're doing. Hopefully, God, I hope it's
the alchemist.
Good point.
They know what we're doing.
The alchemist nods and he comments, "It is good to know Russell survived. He is a true believer. Has given him strength." And he turns back to his workbench and he's done with you.
Excellent.
Right, let's get out.
Get out. Let's go.
So at this point, what? You got your barrel. What are you going to do with the barrel?
Is it too heavy for me to carry solo?
It's about 60 pounds.
Can the dwarves?
Yeah, the other thing was get the 2 dwarves to carry it, and we make it.
Yeah, and that's our excuse, and that's our excuse for taking them.
Yeah, and we keep looking like we're ordering them around then, don't we?
Yeah, so Ragnar and Badger kind of like put a show on it. Some of the other rescuees make a show of it, except for the one who had his arm injured from rockfall during the mining flood,
Mhm.
and they make an effort. But Bellefonte is watching all of this, and she kind of like nods as you successfully like, get the barrel without any kind of combat. She's kind of been at the ready, and she has a few like stones in her hand that seem to be glowing a little bit, with magical power, because she's been at the ready, expecting this to go horribly wrong and to have to fight for your escape.
That is a reasonable concern.
And she's pretty pleased, and she nods at all of you once you've reached back the bottom of the ladder with the barrel, and like nods as if to commend you on a good job. And you all proceed to the north, correctly? Is that
Mhm.
have I listened correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what the hell is going on? All right. So everybody proceeds to the north, and you start walking. There was like some singing and stuff. You can still hear like the faint sounds of laughter and a few little pops of fireworks here and there. But as you start to tread your way to the north, the tunnels become less and less molded out of earth, and more like that you remember of the sewer. Yeah, they're more of the ruins of the Atlantaran civilization again as you tread forth, and you think you've started to actually actively enter what counts as the ruins, that portions of which were converted into Secomber's sewer system. Now, I'm going to change the sound back to kind of sewery sounds. Or at least quiet the shouting goblins, because as you walk and walk and walk, the noise of them gets fainter and fainter. And after about 15 minutes, you can't pick out any sound of the goblins anymore. All right, can make that quiet. Um, Once you've walked for a while, maybe half an hour, you haven't picked up any sounds, any sights and sounds of flowing water yet, dripping mustiness. You can't smell anything more than just kind of like the petrichor of being deep underground, and just like the natural damp associated with that, and the stone that isn't always as porous as it would be with hewn earth. And so you don't feel like you're like in sewers proper at this point. And from your previous like scoping out of your location and where you were in relation to Secomber, and from what Belafana and Ragnar told you about their experience traveling here in the first place, you're aware it took them about 4 hours of marching from the sewers where they were captured until they arrived at uh, the dust goblin warrens, and a little bit more time than that to actually get to the mines. So from this point, you figure it's going to take you 4 hours of trudging through these tunnels to get back to Secomber if you can find your path. You get some feedback from the people in the party who have traveled this way before. Basically, all the captives and Ragnar and Badger and Belafana, and they have some differing opinions about how they came here. You can see that they're also a little bit tired, um, seeing as before the whole mining collapse, many of them were doing hard labor. And many of them have gone without the previous night's sleep and haven't really eaten much of anything. So there's kind of like this pause once you feel confident that you are no longer close enough to the goblins for them to suspect you of anything. Is there anything you guys want to do actively as you start making your way back towards Secomber?
We've gotten who we need to get out.
Yeah. Bellafauna said she overheard them mention that someone empowering Secomber is also with the cult, so we're gonna have to be a bit careful with warning them. I don't know if it's worth mentioning that or seeing if she can remember anything else. But other than that, it's more about just getting these lot out safely and us.
Yep.
If you ask Bellafauna if she can remember anything else about what she overheard, she'll say she didn't hear any details
Right.
to identify them, but her estimation is if it's somebody in power, it would have to be one of the rods of Secomber or someone who is in charge at Lord's Hill.
Yeah, that's what I was scared of. Right.
She was like, maybe, I mean, Emilio's dead, so he's innocent. But maybe if there's someone, whoever's the next most powerful wizard in Secomber, if there are any, I don't know. I guess they would be a suspect too.
What about the townspeople that we've rescued? Do we know can we ask them if they've overheard anything?
The townspeople are less help than Bellafauna. Bellafauna was actively sneaking around trying to gather information about what they were up to and who was involved. That was like the reason why she didn't go directly back to Secomber and the inn to find you guys immediately. So they, given their experience and how they were like, forced into hard labor and stuff, they didn't really have a chance to hear much of anything talking beyond just the normal shouting of the guards for them to work more and ordering them about. The only reason Belafon had more information is she went sneaking around and like listened to some conversations between priests and more higher ups
Mm.
than Joey and Biff on their coffee break.
All right, it's worth a try. I can't think of what else. Can you? Kai's shaking his head.
No.
No.
Kai doesn't know nothing.
No. No. Clueless.
Yeah. It's been like it took you a good hour to go through the village. So you
I mean, I guess there's the option of if we think we're safe enough, maybe take a short rest. If the guys are, the prisoners that we've rescued are, tired and hungry and stuff, we could rest and eat. But other than that,
if you suggest taking a short rest before you continue further, the captive villagers will happily take you up on that. Bellafauna as
okay.
well, because she maintained her Ratafauna guise during the last short rest and was depleted on any wild shaping and stuff like that. So she's like, yeah,
Okay.
I could use with a little rest too.
And I've lost some hit points, so I don't mind eating so much to try. Or I could. Well, I'd have to eat if I use a lay on hands. I won't get it back, will I?
Bellafana, she has like a few little snacks in her bag left, so she like hands out some like dried fruit and a few of her almonds to people, but it's not much. She just brought like, an emergency snack for the sewers.
Well, I've got a day's worth of rations, so I can break
As
them
you
out.
do, as you do when you're a woman of a certain age, you bring snacks in your bag.
Yep.
So she had
So
that.
if
She'd been subsisting on that. I'm not sure she has good berries or not. Let me double check. I can't remember. She does have good berries. So as you're short resting, and she hasn't used any spells except for I think one heal cure wounds on somebody. So she casts another good berry, and it makes about 6 and hands them out to each of the villagers, and one to Ragnar and one to Badger. And she offers it up to like the 3 of you if one of you wants a good berry, which
what
just
does a good berry do?
it basically cures 1 hit point and
That
feeds
is
you for
not
the
enough.
day.
No.
Cures 1 hit point and feeds you for the day.
I will consume my mystical chicken wing.
Okay.
2d4 plus 8.
I'm gonna give you 1 hit point back for a good berry though, and let's see if any of
Right.
the. I think there was
5.
one.
So that's 7.
Kai. Oh, well, you're fine. Let's see. Did any of the? Oh, never mind.
Alright. Got
Let's
me
say instead
slightly
of
there.
Ragnar, because Ragnar seems to be fine. She gives 1 good berry to Sprinkles the goose.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pretend like that like cures the owlbear for 1 hit point rather than the goose, because Sprinkles is in pretty bad shape before she got polymorphed. You healed yourself for 5 hit points.
7, because it's 2d4 plus 2. I've already
Okay.
sorted it out, so.
All right. So you're feeling a little bit better than you were. That skeleton minotaur hit pretty hard.
He chuffing did.
Are you going to use any hit dice?
I've only got 1 left.
Okay.
So.
So you take your short rest, and unless there's anything else that anybody wants to do during the short rest, once you finish, everybody kind of gathers themselves, collects and gathers around, and now you continue the trek. We can do the 2 ways. One, you could do like group survival checks, or have one person lead doing a survival check for finding your way on this next leg of the sewers or the ruins.
Okay, my survival's a minus, so.
I think mine's good.
Mine's
Yeah, let me do it.
Oh, God, it is good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. Now, one thing is after about an hour, you notice what seems to be another kind of opening in uh, the roof above with a connected ladder that seems to be an outlet climbing out of these ruins towards the surface.
Can we see how far up it goes?
It goes up a fair ways. Like it's a good it's a very large opening, about 10-foot radius, kind of like doming in a juncture of the sewers. And there is a ladder and a rope, both extending all the way down almost to the stone floor.
I'm just wondering whether potentially overground is going to be quicker than going through the sewers, that's all.
The villagers confirm that they did pass that on the way, but they don't know anything more about where it goes. Yelena, since you're far enough away, you've only traveled about an hour, and you've still got at least three to go. So your estimation is if it outlets above, you'll probably still be within the Forlorn Hills. But depending on what you find once you get to the surface, you might be able to cut to the road. Maybe the travel through the hills might be faster. You're not quite sure, but you're pretty sure you're not, anywhere urban yet.
Can I scoot up the ladder to take a look around?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll do that.
You climb for about 30 feet up this ladder. It seems to be sturdy and good condition, even though it appears to be very old. You get to the top, and there's like a normal kind of covering, like someone has put like this makeshift, like stone plank over the hole. One for reinforcement, and two to kind of hide that it's there. And you can push it. It doesn't take too much strength, but make a strength check again.
Oh, come on, dice. What's going on? Yeah.
Okay, 10 is all you needed.
Okay, good.
So you have to you really only have you have to hold on to the ladder with one arm, so you're like doing a one-arm push to try to move this stone tablet. But you get a good leverage on it, and it kind of shoves out of the way. It seems like it hasn't been centuries since it's been used, and that works to your advantage. It's at least been used in the past year. And as you shove it aside, there's like a rain of red dust falls down. And you shove it aside. You see, apparently it was covered with some dirt, just a few inches of it to kind of hide where it was. But you shove it over and you poke your head outside of the hole, and you look around, and you just see like red rocks and some dusty terrain. The hills, you're in the middle of the Forlorn Hills. You can see the sun for the first time in
Forever.
18 hours. I know it seems like months, but you can see the sun again. And you pick out that, oh yeah, it's probably like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not quite, it's probably the heat of the day. The pinnacle of heat of the day has probably just been reached. But it's approaching winter, so it's not like bad. But it's sunny right now, and all you see is rocks in every direction. There's some scrub grass, faint breeze blowing. You don't see signs of any animals beyond like an.
So I guess the question is, are we safer down here? We're sheltered down here. We might run into nasties down here. We might run into nasties up there. I'll just sort of come down, convey the information, and just ask people's preference. Do you want to be above ground? Because I don't know exactly where we are. We can navigate via the sun, but still might be a walk.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the villagers are in, or the townspeople are in a bit of a bad state, is it going to be easier to walk down here?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah.
We ask their preference, I guess.
Their preference.
They don't care at this point.
I just want to go up.
Yeah, they just want to go home. They're like, whatever way you think is faster. That's the way they want to go.
Should we just stick with this and see how it goes?
I think let's stick with this.
Yeah, and if we see any more, I mean, if we're in the middle of the hills, I would imagine it's going to be hard to trek. So
yeah,
well, for them anyway.
You feel like there's a little bit of indecision. There's some indecision, and after some debate, some hemming and hawing, and you're like, oh, time is wasting while we just discuss this. You decide to move on. But with an 18, you actually do get a little turned around, because so many of the sewer junctions look the same, and you waste like about another hour at different points backtracking once you realize that you've like gone off the best route and maybe reached a culvert, reached a dead end. But you get the sense that you're making progress, though not perfectly efficient progress. Roll a d6.
All of us, or
All of us, or just one?
Any Kim, because you did the survival check. After about 2 more hours, you start to reach the ruins begin to shift, and they become a little bit more of that familiar landscape that you associated with the sewers. You don't hear full rushing water, but it is damper. There's a little bit more of a stench, like you're getting close enough to the sewer system proper that the stench is reached here. Maybe from overflow, maybe just from the water, seeping into the ground and traveling. And in the midst of that, at one point, suddenly, there's a swarm of wet rats that flurry suddenly out of a pipe in a cacophony of squeals.
That's not good.
They drop in
Fireball.
front of you. There's some shrieks. Everybody's kind of like, ah! Apparently, that's not good. But then the rats kind of just keep on running ahead of the path that you were traveling. They seem to have a destination. And they pretty much ignore that you're there.
So they're running the same direction we're going.
Yeah.
Right, so they're not running towards us as if they're running away from something.
They're not running towards you like they're running away from something, and they're not running towards you like they're here to attack you and nibble on you. They're just basically in a hurry to get somewhere.
And you said they were wet.
And they're wet, and they dropped out of the pipe in front of you. But they're not engaging you. But they do seem like they're purposeful, like these rats are on a mission to go somewhere. They're not just like ambling, chaotically scrambling around in a swarm. They're like a swarm of rats that have a destination.
Okay.
At this point, roll another survival check for the next leg of the journey.
Is that me again?
If you want to do it, someone else can do the survival check if they want to.
Oh, you got +8, Yelena.
I guess that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you don't want my -1.
Hey,
we are surviving.
No
we are
problem.
surviving hardcore.
This time around, now that you've reached back into like the sewer skin, you may not have gone this way before. You may not have traveled this way with these captives and been led to the mining camp, to the Red Cliff Quarry by the cultists directly. But you are a tracker by trade. This isn't your first time finding the path to a place that you've never been before, or a place where you don't really even have familiarity with the local terrain. So with a 25, you do a quality job of reading the signs of the tunnels. and you manage to, within 2 hours, it starts to definitely, you get the sense that, hey, you've got to be getting close to Secomber by now. At this point, you come across the first outlet that is of the style that you recognize. More of an older, frequently traveled, more frequently utilized, and that it looks like the construction of this particular ladder is more recent. In fact, at the base of it, it's a short flight of like 6 stairs leading to a broad ladder that only travels up about 15 feet before it reaches what looks to be kind of a grate. And overhead of the grate, you can again see sky. It's got like little bars. And at the base of it, there's like a little bit of runoff like on the ground around it. And at this point, there's more of like the collection and signs of runoff water. Not a lot of trash, but it seems to be another outlet to the surface.
Take another look. I can shimmy up if you'd prefer. Yeah, we've lost Yelena.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm sorry. No, let me shimmy up and look.
So you shimmy up and look. This time, it's no effort to open up the grate, that the barred grate that is covering the access to the tunnels. And you just kind of flip it over. It's on hinges. And you look around and you realize you can see the road. So like from one direction to the west of you, you see what you think might be the Iron Road. The traffic seems like a little bit heavier than you remember on the way into Secomber when you arrived with the caravan. But then you turn and you kind of like look to the north. Or is it to the north? To the south, I'm sorry. And you see maybe a mile to the south the gates of Secomber, with the familiar crenellated turrets marking the entry to the town that you passed through the day before.
Okay, so do we think it'd be better to travel on the road then?
That is a good question.
Another swarm of rats drop out of a pipe near the rest of the party.
It's like I just sort of shut down. How tired are your rats?
Scurries off. They're dry this time, but they seem to also, again, have a specific direction.
Right. They're scattering for a reason. Maybe we need to get out of there.
Yeah. All right, everyone up the ladder.
Okay.
Are we going to be able to get the barrel up there?
Yeah, you're still carrying that barrel. Big barrel energy. Let me delete all of these goblins off of the combat tracker since you guys did not throw down. So you're climbing. Or what are you doing with that barrel?
Well, how big's the hole? If we, I mean, you said it was 15 foot, the ladder? I can misty step.
There's like a 15-foot climb.
Because I can misty step 30 foot. But I have to see where I'm going. I'm guessing I won't be able to see where I'm going. I'll just be able to see the hole at the top.
Well, you can misty step to the top of the ladder, and then somebody at the top can take it the rest of the way.
I'm trying to remember what we said about Misty Step when you guys were doing the whole crossing over the that chasm. And because there's this discussion at the time with like Kai wanted to like bring a rope with him, and we were like, does the rope come with you?
That's a good question. Oh yeah, okay.
Or
Yeah.
is it? And I can't remember
bet
what
we
we
just-
decided. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
know
bet
all
if
of
we
your
just-
gear comes, of course. All of your gear comes.
Which means we've got rope, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, maybe we just tie a rope around the barrel and
And then
haul it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
You rope it up
Right.
like an owlbear
Yeah.
and just haul it
I
up.
stick sprinkles in my pack, climb up the ladder, everyone's up at the top, and then we just all heave on the rope.
Yeah. Just everybody do a you can do an athletics check. I mean, it's the same thing as a strength check, but with advantage. Because it's a group effort hauling this barrel up the hole.
Bloody hell.
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
Come out.
I mean, I meant for Terrell to roll, but okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry. It was my first roll. I've not rolled
But,
anything
hey,
tonight.
let's
so
do-
Don't matter, she rolled a
let's-
20. You have to eat.
Chris and the new moonshine cherries. Yeah, in the spirit of that.
I mean, I did say we were all heaving on it, so...
Terrell sets down to heave. To heave ho.
Kai just
And-
reaches out one hand and just pulls the whole thing up.
Yeah, like Kai kind of like shakes out his purple robed arms, and he like cracks his knuckles, and he grabs hold of this rope, and he's like, "Hey, I've been eating my Wheaties, my beans and oatmeal, you know." And gives the rope a good yank, and it's surprisingly easy. This heavy barrel just bloops right up the tunnel, up to the surface of the road, by the road. Woo! It's okay. These moonshine cherries. It still doesn't taste super cherry to me, but the moonshine is a lot better.
Maybe you need to stick some kirsch in with it.
Mm-hmm.
Ish.
It's weird. I can't find Kirsch locally.
Can you not?
I know. It's like there's so many liquors available that they don't stock everything. And the only cherry brandy that they stock is really nasty. It tastes like cough syrup.
Oh no.
I was sad because I was trying to make cherry blossoms. Because I had one at a restaurant and I like really liked it as a refreshing summer thing. But apparently they were using good cherry brandy, and the stuff I could find was just toxic.
Okay.
So making do. Anyway, let me close this Rocky Warrens map. Because you're no longer there. You are on the surface with everybody, about a mile away from the gates of Secomber. With your owlbear, who is a goose. Roll a d6.
Who?
Anyone at this juncture.
Say the best one.
I probably shouldn't have said everyone. At this point, it starts to rain. Clouds come in pretty suddenly.
Of course it does.
Yeah. And it's raining a little bit.
Yeah, but fresh air.
Yeah.
So everybody was, well, people were kind of damp anyhow after the whole escape. You had kind of had that semi-damp dry off period. It's been like, I think 5 hours total. Well, 6 hours from the time that the mine started flooding. The sun is setting as you trudge towards the gates of Secomber. And You realize that there is a backlog of carts and wagons at the gate as you approach. People seem to be talking amongst themselves,
Oh, I've just
trying
had a
to like
horrible thought.
curious and wondering like, what the holdup is. But there aren't a lot of people on foot. And some of the traffic does seem to be moving. But it does seem to me that there's a lot more wagons and carts parked or camped by the side of the road as you get closer and closer to the town.
So I had a bad thought, which I probably should have thought about before we came up. Are they going to want to know what's in the barrel? When we go through the gates.
We say firecrackers for the celebration.
Okay.
Because that's what they were. And then we pull out one of the safe ones and light it.
Yeah, with the unsafe ones, were they wrapped in something?
We just need to throw a blanket over it.
This is the dungeon master being like, oh my.
Why?
We can't get light on the black ones. That is true.
Okay. Somebody remember something about which ones are the explosives.
There was a berry
Yeah.
thingy with the purple thingy.
Yeah, so the fairy sparkler had the purple stripe.
I didn't even do an accent because I didn't want it to be hard to understand.
So the fairy sparkler was the one with the purple stripe down the side, and he said it was a harmless distraction. The crystals were just like for pyrotechnics, so again reasonably harmless. But he said, and I'm fairly sure it was a black version of the fairy sparkle,
which are bad
not to be exposed. But I don't know if it was covered or not. Because if they're not covered and they're just in the barrel with the other stuff, then as soon as we open the barrel, kaboom!
Do an insight check.
Oh no!
Is this all of us?
Yeah, all of you.
Oh, that was almost an 18.
I got no insight about things exploding.
The 16 is high enough, Terrell. You reason that given like Yelena has passed on the information about how you're not supposed to expose the explosive ones to non-green light. And it's in this like severe black little canister. So you like peek in the barrel a little bit. You peeked when you're still underground. You're guessing that it's probably not so reactive that the minute you take these fireworks out of the barrel, they're going to explode, because it would be hard to plan around something that was that volatile.
Okay.
So you think that the black casing has something to do with keeping it appropriately dark, and that if it is something that's highly reactive to light or to heat maybe, then yeah, it's going to be a real problem once somebody sets these off, and you have to make sure that you don't go around playing with it and possibly exposing it to the things that could set it off. Like you wouldn't want to leave it in a sunbeam or something. But
okay,
when it's not shaded from the lights, protected from the light somehow. But the black casing seems to be protective for like moving around and doing normal booby trapping actions.
Okay, all right, that's all right then. So yeah, so we can do that. All right. Can we overhear anyone talking about what the holdup is then at the gates? Or do we want to just walk towards the gates and find out for ourselves?
I don't know.
I love how Kai just shrugs at me so you can hear it.
Just wondering if we can get, how far is the line? Is it? Can somebody walk up there and just sort of scout it and come back?
Well, it's a full mile of road, and you've gone maybe like half of it. So you haven't seen quite the front yet. You do see that like some of the wagons are moving. Like there's a little bit of gradual moving forward, but it's a lot more of a traffic jam than when you arrived the day before.
Can we get Twinkles the goose to fly up and spy?
Didn't even think of that. Keep forgetting geese can fly.
You're gonna tell Sprinkles to go fly.
Do we trust no one to shoot her?
Do they have?
See, that's what I'd be afraid of.
Yeah. Nah. Let's. Maybe we just keep walking and see.
Music. This was like the arrival music.
The triumphant return.
Yeah, you're approaching the gates. Woo woo.
Oh, Yelena's gone AFK.
So you approach. Did you say that you were gonna like talk to people?
Yeah, I just thought maybe ask to see if anyone knows what. Maybe they've wandered up already to see what the problem is.
You just hear. You ask one of them. There's like a people waiting in line, and they just say, "Oh, it's been very slow. It's been very slow since we've got here." They appear to be like a merchant cart, and they're like, we do a lot of business here in Secomber, and usually doesn't take this long. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure like once you get closer, maybe you can ask. Maybe somebody will know more.
Then we keep looking, or keep walking.
So you walk. Once you get to be like the last quarter mile, and you can almost like make out some of the activity. Like there's some activity at the gates of Secomber, and you can pick out in the distance there seems to be a lot more military presence at the gate than your previous visit. And you see there's a wagon that has pulled off to the side of the road and is now parking. They seem to be kind of like putting up camp for the night. And you ask them what's going on, and they say, turned away. City's something's going on, and they won't let all traffic in. Only certain traffic's allowed.
Well, shoot. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pass muster, so gotta wait till the morning.
They didn't say why?
Well, not the likes of me.
Okay.
Do we happen to have any paperwork saying, "Hey, we've already been admitted. We need to get back in"?
I don't think so. I don't think she gave us anything, did she?
They
Apart from a map.
They tack on before they go back up to finishing setting up their camp. They do tack on that apparently locals, residents, aren't having problems.
Well, maybe the townspeople can get us in then.
Have we taken his masks off? Just FYI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully you take your mask off.
Not going to match onto the thing with his coat mask on.
That is a good point that all these villagers are still wearing manacles, and they've kind of been like shuffling. And I didn't really address that at all. Like technically, I guess that probably would have slowed you down more. But like, they are still wearing their manacles.
Okay. I think as soon as we got away from the goblins and we'd stopped, we would have probably made the effort to try and get them out of the manacles.
Effort to like at least like break them out of it, do some like try to jiggle some locks, melt some locks with acid the Kai way. Okay, so maybe that's one of the things that like cause you an extra hour is you stop and you realize this is stupid because these people are having to shuffle, and once we actually get somewhere, we don't want them to look like we're actually holding them prisoner. And if there is like a sudden thing, we want them to have more mobility to escape now. So let's take the time to break everybody free out of their manacles. So people are bedraggled, and they have like the chafed ankles. but they are no longer sporting iron jewelry. So right before we take a little adventurer's break, I'll say that you finally make your way up to the gates, kind of like bobbing, weaving, and cutting in front of the different wagons, because you realize at this point you don't see any other foot traffic. And you are right in front of the gates, where here again you see that fifth rod melee Partoon floating on her little stool with her little floating lectern, with her little homunculus string doll taking notes beside her that you recognized before. But in her company, there's a good 24 soldiers, both up on the ramparts and down below. Much more at attention. None of them are reading books this time. None of them are eating a sandwich. And that's where we'll take a little adventurer's break.
Okie dokie. Back in
Okie.
then.
Okie dokes.
So we're just walking up to the entrance to Secomber then.
Well,
Yeah.
if they're saying that the residents are being allowed in, how long have the townspeople that we've got with us been away, captured?
I am going to share a picture for ambiance. It's not exactly like the scene, but it's pretty. So you're approaching the city. Not from this side, but hey, it's Secomber. And you see, like I mentioned before, Melee Partoon floating on her stool with her little lectern. You see her interview somebody who's with a wagon, shaking her head, and they kind of slump their shoulders and they start pulling their wagon away. And then she looks up at your little ragtag group assembled. Sprinkles gives a honk, and she waves her kind of her rod, motions you forward, calling out, "Next, resident or visitor?"
Does she say that to all of us? Yeah.
Yes.
Then I'm tempted to say they're residents and we're with them.
Is that what you say?
We could try.
I can't think of anything else that we can. Because we don't know if potentially the rods are cultists. We don't want to say all, do we? Unless we want to make out that we are. Discreetly do a triangular hand thing and see if that
gets us through.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good. It'd be like, "Hey, weak link identified." Right out the gate.
Yeah.
So what do you say to Melee Partoon to answer?
That's the only thing I can think of. If they're residents, maybe we can get in with them. If not, they can go in and we're going to have to go back to the sewers.
But we've already been in, stayed there, been and done a job in the sewers, so doesn't that class as residence? How long do you have to be there to have residency status?
I don't think staying overnight. I don't even think we've stayed overnight. We were in the sewers overnight, weren't we? So
It seems like it.
All right. So what do you say? What do you say?
Oh bloody hell! Do we just say
Is that your
residents?
final? What is your final answer?
I'd say residents,
Yes.
unless you all disagree.
All right, let's go with that.
Okay, so you say you're all residents, and you're returning to your home in Secomber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She nods and she starts asking for names. And the first couple, especially the guy who has a broken arm, who didn't get along so well with Kai, he steps forward and he says, my name's Terry or something. No, not Terry, because there's already a Terry. Jerry, my name's Jerry. Jerry Polwick. And she recites a couple details. She asks for the address, and he gives out an address, and kind of like bobs his head, and she all this gets dictated to the little stringy golem. And after a moment, the stringy golem nods, and she's like, "Okay, you're allowed in." And Jerry kind of like tips his hat to you guys and like, "I'll wait on the other side." Yeah, see ya on the other side. And he disappears, kind of like skipping into the gate. It's good to be home.
She said.
The other locals, they see Jerry, has no problem doing this, getting in the gate. So they start, kind of like rattling off their names and their addresses, one by one. So all of the locals, I think there were three of them that you rescued from the mines total. I think, yeah, three. And so those three, they process and make their ways through the city gates, no problem, giving their name and address. And Lady Belafana turns to you, she's like, so you still want to act like we're residents? I mean, I hate
we
to
don't
do
have an
it.
address, do we?
I hate to do it, but I could play the Lord's Alliance card maybe, if there's a problem. Hey, maybe we should ask if there's a problem. Ma'am, is there a problem here? We didn't have this kind of questioning, or it wasn't so backed up when we were here, when we arrived, when we visited, when we yeah.
Arrived. There you go.
Yeah, this just seems unusual for normal gate traffic. And Melee Partoon is a bit gruff. She said, there was an incident. We have some lockdown of security. I understand some people that have. It's a terrible situation. We have merchant traffic. We have tourists. The Reign of Misrule is coming up. That was going to be a big event. It still will be a big event. I mean, no problems. I'm sure we'll get this all sorted by the time uh, we have the holidays. But for right now, we need to sort out the trouble. So, resident, what is your address? What is your name? And Lady Belafana looks back at you. She's like, what do you want to do?
I don't know.
Should I play the Lord's Alliance card? Just in case.
Yeah,
It's
I
still.
don't think we can get away with saying we're residents, can we?
We're not that good at lying. I'm all
Unless
lied. I've done all my lying for today.
either that or
I
we,
have
or
no
we,
lies,
Yelena,
no
fresh out of
lies left to
lies.
give. Fresh
either that
out
or
of
we just
lies.
give Jerry's address and we say we're with him.
You did hear addresses from these other people.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, so what do you say? What do you choose to say?
Oh God. What do we want to do?
I don't know.
Analysis paralysis, I'm sensing.
I think let's try the Lord's Alliance.
Okay.
All right.
And you see in the background that some of the guards have started to they've dropped their ranks and they move over to the sides. They seem to start going through the motions of interacting with the chain pulley and the portcullis of the gate, and it looks like very soon they're going to be lowering it for the night. So
All right.
you tell Lady Belafana, to play the Lord's Alliance card, and she pulls out of her bag. She pulls out a little pin, and it's like this little shield emblem, and on it also has her family crest, which is like some grapes and stuff, kind of harkening to her family's and wines. And she steps forward and she says, I am not exactly a resident. I'm here on business, but I'm with Lord's Alliance business, as are my friends here. Uh, so I'm sure whatever is has happened in town is probably super urgent, but we're the kind of people who would be administrating it. And she smiles kind of nervously because she's not used to like playing this card, and she's kind of like hating having to like, argue with this person about how important she is. And Melee gives her like kind of this like stern look, looks at the pen, examines it, seems to be doing her own kind of insight check. And she says, all right, what is your name again? And she says, Lady Belafana Than. These are, she points to the rest of you, and she's like, this is my armsman, my bodyguard, Ragnar Redtooth, and my executive in charge of rocks, engineer of Parnast, um, Badger Sweeney, and these are my adventuring military escort, um, Terrell, uh, and Yelena, and Kai. Yes, yes, that's their names. Oh, and the goose. The goose is with me. And you see Melee Parchun nod, and she's like, okay. And she has the names are inscribed. You see the little doll take them down. There's a moment that seems to be processing the information. And suddenly, like this ledger that you're used to seeing her write in on the lectern, with like the bobbing quill and some of the illusory script that goes up, suddenly the text turns red. And Melee's eyes narrow, and then she raises her rod over her head, kind of like in a very extended dab movement. Like she's kind of dabbing with the rod of Secomber, but it's over her head instead of in front of her face. And several of the guards step forward, about a half dozen of them, at least one for each of you. And according to our records, you entered Secomber yesterday. You haven't departed. That is a problem. We're going to have to. You can come into Secomber, but you're going to have to report directly. Our guards will escort you to the municipal offices for an interview to sort out how this clerical discrepancy happened, considering the town is in security lockdown. I think we're very interested to talk to you about this accounting.
I mean, that would work because we could
Yeah.
tell them what's going on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
It
exactly.
gets us in.
We need to go get us money for killing the monster in the sewers as well.
That's true.
Sakai's kind of like, we needed to go there anyway to collect some coin. This is just helping us. So you guys like all like kind of like nod and agree, or
Yeah.
You gonna put up any argument, any kind of like, or just fall into line with the guards?
Well, I think just go and behave. We don't want to get a staff in his face or whatever, do we?
Don't want to get roughed up
No.
by the police.
I think we should go along quietly so we can explain ourselves. It's not like we don't even need to lie. We can just tell them the truth, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, we needed to let someone know about this whole bloody cultist trying to blow someone up. So, I mean, the fact that we don't know who's a cultist and who isn't.
Now, given that Melee Parchun is a rod of Secomber, is there anything else you would like to ask her or talk to her about, given that she is one of your possible suspects? Before you leave the gate, before they escort you away, is there anything else you would like to ask her?
We want to know what the security incident is, but I don't think she'll tell us, will she? Especially now she thinks that we're doing something dodgy. So, unless we ask for Lord Jormont as a what's the phrase?
A reference or something.
Yeah. But
We haven't got anything useful in our packs, have we? Like a
what, to
letter
bribe her?
or something. Oh, no, or a letter or something. I don't know.
No.
What kind of letter are you thinking of?
You know, like a reference sort of thing. No, I don't think we've got one, have we?
You got a letter from a squirrel.
Ooh, what does that say?
Pick up our statue. Man, did you find any other letters? I can't remember. You
I
had that
don't-
original note that you got off of a cultist way back 5 days ago by the side of the road. I don't remember if you found any other correspondence.
No. I
That would
think the only other
be
thing
that
was
is
the card from the
that is
bathhouse.
evidence. Yeah, but that's just like a frequent bather card.
Yeah.
I mean, you could show that to her if you want to. And tell me what you're gonna tell me what you say to her about.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would help.
I mean, hey, if it's something that is plausible, sure. Okay, I just want to confirm. I mean, there's no. I mean, I don't want to pressure you, but I just want to like open up that like if you have doubts or suspicions about people and who might be involved with this Boompowder plot, feel free to ask questions while they're here. But if you don't have questions, that's fine. We can just move on.
I can't think of all.
I
I
just
can't think
wanted
of
to.
how to even start asking about that.
No.
Okay, so you just take what she said. You're like, oh, hey, yay. We needed to go to the municipal offices anyhow. So there. And just walk along quietly with the guards as they escort you through the gate. And as they do, amidst Sprinkle's honking, the portcullis begins to descend lower and lower. And you see that it really is sunset has progressed. And now you're entering evening with the darkening sky. The streets are fairly empty. The people who you see walking along as you make your way towards the first hill where the municipal offices are set seem to be walking quite briskly and not making eye contact as they hurry off to wherever they're headed. It's a 10 minutes walk, and you recognize the stables where all of the animals of the caravan were housed the day before. And you go further this time, past some housing. Some of it's not really well-to-do housing. It's kind of middling to lower income, and some of it seems to be kind of high rises. And various garlands strewn between the buildings, giving a little bit more of a festive, decorative appearance um, than the kind of modest lifestyle that the people living within probably have. And all the shutters on the building seem to be kind of closed. And you walk a little bit farther, march a little bit farther, and you begin to see us rising up the hill is a set of grand granite stairs. And you climb. It's like rocky stairs. It's like you're in Philadelphia having to go up all of these stairs. Now, when you got inside the gates, the three villagers that you rescued who got in no problem, two of them were waiting for you. The guy who broke his arm, he'd skedaddled off somewhere. Yeah, Jerry got lost as soon as he was home. He was like, yeah, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. And so he's home and he's forgotten about everything, or he's trying to forget about everything that's happened to him. So there's two villagers kind of dawdling there, and they see you being escorted by the guards, and the eyes are big, and they're kind of like looking at you as you march past back at that point, and was like, what do you want us to do?
I mean, they could provide corroborating testimony.
So do you nod at them or motion for them to come with?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
All right. So they do. Those two rescue townsfolk, they come with. And so you're marching. Everybody climbs up the stairs, and it's like a lot. It's a lot of like that cardio, and your legs are burning by the time you get to palazzo kind of platform, because it's like very wide. There's at least 50 steps up between the different landings. It's brutal, but it's gonna be like good for your quads.
Yes, because
And
that's what we all need, a workout.
and the steps are kind of extra deep, but not super a little bit shallower than your normal staircase. So it's not a stretch for halflings and gnomes. So they kind of ameliorate it that way, compared to many human-dominated cities. You pass by a mint green cat that's napping on a bench at the first you know landing that's kind of like a palazzo, and the palazzo has two stone statues, each about 30 feet tall. The left one seems to be a representation of a human wizard holding a staff. Seems to be a robed older man with a hawk-like nose and bushy eyebrows you can make out from this ginormous statue. He also has a flowing beard and like a wide brim hat, and there's a plaque on it, but you can't read it. You're too far away. There's a second statue that is of a younger, stylized man with curly hair, and you think he might have a mustache. The statue definitely also has like an eye patch etched into the stone over its left eye. But the statue also seems to be wearing spectacles. The clothing isn't remarkable. It's not as like grandiose and hey, look, I'm a wizard in classic wizard style as the other statue. It's more like an average person, a citizen of this town, but the statue is topped with like a flowing cloak. And at the foot of the statue is a stone cat. There's another flight of stairs as the guards usher you upward. So after another 50 steps, everybody's desperate for a drink of something. You're parched at this point, and the sound of crickets in the night start to come out, and you can see like little fireflies in the air. And the rain has now passed, and the clouds kind of part, and it's like this deep midnight blue sky with a sliver of a moon, and you're ushered forward into there's a set of three buildings, and they march you forth. Um, Looking around, everybody do a perception check.
Perception. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Kai, Yelena, you let your gaze as you look around. You kind of latch on to an obvious, very large job board. As the guards turn you towards the building on your left, and planted in front of this building is a very large like standing placard that's at least 7 feet tall with a bunch of different missives on it. And you see several postings of jobs, but you can't quite pick out what they all say. You're a little bit too far away for that, but you're trying to. You're like, what's it say? What's it say? Like, could we grab the job for this creature that we captured in or that we killed in the sewer for that bounty? Do we need to have that for the bounty? Is there something on here about capturing Belafana's owlbear? And you're wondering about that, distracted as you move forward. Terrell, you notice the job board, and you can pick out a couple things. including that there is a missive. One, you see kind of like a faded posting, uh, wizard, uh, wishing to buy uh, wyvern egg. Time is of essence. Inquire at Amanitas Alchemy or Alchemist's Cottage. On top of that, though, kind of like at an angle, is a very fresh missive talking about wanted capture alive wyvern seen in vicinity of Secomber with a bounty of 1,500 gold. You also see like the missive for like the job to capture a creature that's roaming the Secomber sewers. There's emphasis in that job listing that it is not a rat, so do not bring rats. It is definitely not a rat.
We took its head, didn't we? The giant slug.
Yeah, or at least an antenna. It's in the bag of holding.
Right.
There's also another listing about catching rats with like very, small rates, like a copper per rat, for cleaning out the sewers. And then a bunch of other old jobs. I don't think there were any current advertisements. There are some ads for different guilds, like adventuring guilds. There is a publication about um, the Eric Amanitas um, uh, Adventuring University and how they're accepting new students. But you notice all that as you pass by. And Terrell, you also notice um, across the quad, in front of the building opposite the one you seem to be headed to, there is a platform um, that looks, and there's some stocks as well. And you get like kind of a queasy feeling that, ooh, that's kind of dark. Like it's a place that's been at least constructed. It doesn't look like from this distance, doesn't look like it's been used anytime soon, anytime recently. But there is a kind of like hangman's area and stocks across the way in these municipal offices.
Okay.
There's a third building, but from what you can make out, you can't really tell what the purpose is. But it is quite large, and it's large enough to be a warehouse. The guards continue escorting you into this building to the west. And let me open up something. They lead you through large double doors. There are more guards here. You see a couple clerks kind of wandering around with papers, going about their work and business. There seems to be a couple messengers running back and forth. And you're eventually led to a set of kind of like offices with a few chairs out front, and a closed door. The guards tell you to sit down for a moment in these chairs.
Do the chairs look dodgy?
No, they look like they're like lobby waiting room chairs,
Okay.
you know.
Not gonna have
Um,
cuffs springing around his legs or
no,
anything.
they don't have cuffs. They don't look like
Okay.
they haven't led you like directly into interrogation torture chamber, or anything like that. It's not
Just gotta
that
check.
super. It's not that super severe.
Scooby-Doo episode.
But as you're sitting there, and as one of the guards has gone off, the kind of like, it looks to be like maybe definitely a veteran, like a captain, somebody who's pretty polished. Like Terrell, you think that they're pretty up to snuff compared to the guys you saw before. You're not sure if this person is with Lord's Hill. You're not sure if they're part of the militia, but they pass more muster than the people you've seen before. The rest of the guards who are escorting you, they're still a little bit shabby. They almost look like the slovenly guards that were hanging out at the gate yesterday, but something has happened to make them kind of like, okay, we need to pull our act together and take this seriously. So it's like they've done, a rapid fire effort to try to look like they knew what they were doing, but they're still pretty green.
Okay.
And so as their leader kind of like steps away to go into this office to talk to someone, you're just sitting there waiting, looking around. Do another perception check.
All of us, or
All of you, yeah. Okay. So, Terrell, you've been spending your time basically inspecting all the soldiers and coming up with like what you think about them all, and you're like, okay, well, so there may be a few people here who know something about security and the military, but you're not filled with confidence. You see, Yelena and Kai, you observe the traffic that's going about, and there does seem to be a lot of bustling. And at one point, you see more guards escorting um, some people who look like they're in pretty humble clothing. Um, and Kai, you even pick out like a faint smell of fish as they walk past. And as they get escorted down a hall, you see someone step out of another office similar to the one that you're in front of. And it looks to be a tabaxi, but this tabaxi, it's not the tabaxi that you encountered before. Um, it is more of a fat cat, like a rotund, slightly on the short side, gray tabaxi, wearing um, a suit of half plate, so that like it's his primordial pouch kind of pokes out the armor, and you see he's like, this person is welcoming this tabaxi is welcoming the soldiers and these citizens into his office, and they close the door. After you observe this, the guard comes back out and says that fourth rod will talk to you now. And you gather up your things, you get escorted inside the office, and seated beside a very simple desk. There aren't enough chairs for everybody. There's only 2 chairs. So you guys have to fight over them.
I'll stay to one side and stand with the barrel.
Stand with the barrel. I can think they didn't even inspect the barrel. You're thinking that. This is
Yeah.
This is what Terrell didn't see as much, because Terrell's sitting here thinking, they didn't even look at this barrel. I got explosions. I could blow this place sky high. And they just completely missed it. Shoddy work. Just shoddy.
Shocking security.
What are they like? So you're standing there with your barrel. And you see this halfling man. He's got sagging, rounded jowls, and his hair's on the longish side. It flows like just past his shoulders, with a few small beaded braids by his face. It's like in the style that the kids call adventurer fashion. Like it's supposed to look like, hey, I'm so busy and so active that I need to keep my hair out of my face and be like all cultural about it. But he really just has a desk job. His roots suggest that he dyes his hair a muddy brown and he's trying to look a lot younger. And he looks up at you and he's like, I say, there is a discrepancy with your entry permissions. Uh, do you have an explanation for how you are attempting to enter Secomber when our records show that you are already within Secomber?
Look at Lady Belleforn and say, "Do you want to tell him, or shall we?"
She looks at you. She's like, "You want me to talk? Are you sure you want me to talk?"
Yeah, maybe not. Should we just lay it all out then?
I'll talk.
Yeah.
I'll talk if you want me to talk. I mean, what you might want to talk.
We did
Okay.
that this one time at
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
We entered. We've no intention of leaving until we actually were due to leave. But Lady Belleforna here is very interested in your sewer system because she wants to implement something similar in her own town.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
Okay. So she went down into the sewers with her 2 employees here.
Bellefonte motions to the dwarves. That's
Um,
them right there.
so they were looking at the sewers to see what they needed to do for implementation, and they were accosted by what we can only class as cultists, which we've already come across before in, oh god, what was it called? What was the B town called?
Honeyfest place.
Rouge Fair
That's
Yes.
it, Rouge Fair.
and Ulavan.
And Ulavan. Right, so we've come across these cultists already. We've had run-ins with them. I don't think they particularly were getting Lady Belleforna and her employees, for any particular designs. It was just that they were encroaching on their what we considered their current traffic, their roads. We went to find Lady Belleforna because we'd heard there was a monster in your sewer, which you have a job for.
I do.
Right, well, we might have taken care of that, and I'm
Say-
going to point to... Is Kai the one with the bag of holding? You've got the tea bag of holding, haven't you?
I think Yelena has it.
Yelena.
Mhm.
Do you want to dump out the head?
Yep. Do so.
Which probably stinks, to be honest, but there we go. So we ran into this whilst we were trying to find Lady Belleforna because we were worried that she was going to be attacked by the monster in the sewer.
You slap the antenna down on his desk.
Giant slug monster, very nasty.
He kind of rears back. He's like, I say, that's disgusting.
Yes, I know. You should try fighting it. So we took care of that. But we found this really weird little room that teleported us to a different location outside of Secomber, and that's how we ended up leaving the town without actually going through your gates. It teleported us to what appears to be the cultist base, which is in your Forlorn Hills. And I'll point to the townspeople. There were many of your townspeople shackled, being forced to labour for the cult's work in these mines that we were transported to. And I guess I nudged them forward to do whatever. Well, maybe agree or maybe just let them. Well, right. They can tell you what happened to them afterwards. But so we rescued as many as we could because the cultists were being distracted by someone else attacking them. We don't know who the hell they were or what was going on. But anyway, so we got them. We got out of there as quick as possible. We found out that they're working with a local group of goblins, the Dust Goblins, and they seem to have something planned for Misrule. And they seem to be working on things that will blow stuff up. And I point to the barrel and say, we acquired this by pretending to be cultists to try and work out what the hell's going on, and we want you to bring it to your attention as soon as possible.
Make a persuasion check.
Oh my word. Yes!
Woo!
It is like a torrent of words. It's convoluted. It's complicated. There's a lot going on in what you just said. I mean, there's like so much going on in this campaign, but there's a lot going on in what you just said.
Yes.
Somehow, Bag and Foxtrot, the fourth rod of Secomber, has managed to follow along, and his eyes get wider at different points during your description. Like, well, first when you like plop the giant slug antenna on his desk, and he kind of like makes this like you know motion to his desk and to the guards and is like, get it off my desk, get it off my desk. And as you continue talking, he's kind of like, ooh, my desk is sticky now, yuck. um there's like this little like acidic scorch mark where like the slug drippings have kind of burnt into like what was on top of his desk, and he's like a bit flummoxed by that, but he's still following along with what you're saying. And his eyes widen again when you start to talk about cultists in the sewers. And
Are there are other people in that room also?
there's like guards and stuff.
Can I just sort of do perception to see if anybody's looking uncomfortable, like, or suspicious or
Good call.
culty?
You can do an insight check to measure up people's reactions.
Nope.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Oh, that's true. I can burn the inspiration. Somewhat better.
You cannot pull out any signs of anyone in this room being anything other than taking care of business. Nobody gives off any sign that anything that makes them look suspicious or um, made worried or guilty by what is being said. And that includes the fourth rod. You see his eyes also open, kind of get wide when you start talking about the uh, camp, the hideout outside of town in the Forlorn Hills. Though I don't think you said specifically where. And
No, we
then
just said the hills.
and then the explosives, and he's like, and when you end up with like the whole thing about explosives and the reign of misrule, he's like, ooh, confiscate. Let's get that out of trouble, out of the way. Yes, thank you for these explosives. Can you examine them, please, soldiers?
Then I guess we should tell them about some of them are safe and some of them are not.
So you go through another spiel about describing the what's in the barrel.
Yeah.
And how, they're susceptible to light. Keep them in a cool, dry place.
Yeah.
So yes, and be very careful. Be very like maybe take them outside, like he tells two of the guards. Take the barrel out back and examine them. And then come back and tell me your findings. Um, and he starts to address the different points you talk about. First off, you caught the giant, the creature in the sewers. Is that that was the creature responsible that there had been spottings of? So our sewers should be more safe now. Excellent.
We won't tell them about the not the rust monster, the other thing.
The trash god.
Yeah.
So one, you have Secomber's appreciation for that. So I think this is a good. We will have to settle a reward. A reward. Yes. The reward. Do you have a slip from the job board for this task? It's just slipping my mind how much the reward was.
Unfortunately not, because this is our first time in Secomber and I didn't know how it worked.
Oh. Well, what do you say? What do you think? 300 gold for the reward of this ferocious beast. Slaying it and keeping Secomber safe.
Are we alright with that? I mean, we're down there anyway, so. Sure.
All right, he rings a little bell, and a clerk pops into his office, and he's like, Digby, 300 gold, 300 gold, mark off job, and he rattles off a number, like he knows records and stuff, kind of belaying the fact that he couldn't remember how much the reward was. And the clerk runs off to go fetch your gold. Secondly, I conclude from your rather convoluted explanation that the reason why we have a discrepancy in the visitation logs is you did not leave Secomber by one of our official gates. You ventured outside of Secomber via the sewers. Do I have that correctly?
Yes.
Mhm.
And then proceeded to re-enter Secomber via the front gate. All right. That does make sense. It is not a situation that we like to encourage, you understand, especially in times like these, with incidents like today. We are trying to identify and determine how to address these kind of security issues. So, in a roundabout way, I appreciate your service.
Can we ask what's happened today to cause this security increase? Because we're concerned that it might have something to do with these cultists, and obviously we would like to stop the cultists.
Well, I suspect you would be correct. Yeah. Um, would you have a description of, say, the type of cultists that you've been dealing with thus far? Maybe it will coordinate with the description of what we have encountered today, because I do believe, I do believe that we may have had some uh, occultist activity on the fine shores of Secomber.
Okay, we didn't really see that many of them, did we? So
We did finger thing.
the hand gesture, yeah. Right. So they identify themselves by doing this. Do the hand thing.
You do the hand. Do
Um,
another insight check.
all of us.
Sure, or whoever wants to.
I think at this point I would like to. I think I'm going to pick up on the fact that Yelena was wondering if anyone was. Oh, I am rolling bad today.
Terrell and Yelena. After Kai does the little hand signal thing, you like look really carefully around the room to whoever's left, including Bag and Foxtrot, to see if anybody seems to really recognize that hand signal. And you feel pretty confident that it doesn't mean anything to anybody in this room.
Okay, and I pull out the cultist mask and slap that on and say they all seem to wear that when they're around each other. We nicked that from some of them.
Bag and Foxtrot frowns. So you mean to tell me that all the cultists wear those masks from the people you've been dealing with?
Well,
You
the ones
encountered?
down in the mines were wearing those, and the ones that attacked us before we got to Ulavan were wearing those. He was working with. He had goblins with him. Did he have goblins with him?
The ones who
As well
attacked
as
your
the
camp?
elementals? Yeah. And then other than that, have we seen any where their faces haven't been covered? And I'm gonna, I suppose, look to the townspeople and Bellafauna and just say, did you see any of them without the masks on?
Ragnar or Badger, I can't remember who it is. One of them pipes up and says, "Well, there there were the the water people. That guy with like the alligator chariot. I mean, he wasn't wearing a mask. He was wearing a big face of I'm fucking scared."
Yeah, but they were a different cult, weren't they? By the way, you've got a lot of cults around here.
Oh, and and Bill. I keep on calling him Bilbo, and his name isn't Bilbo. Bag and Foxtrot kind of hops up in his chair, and he's like, that water people. The other cults, a lot of cults. What's the other cult look like? Yeah.
Okay, so we saw the woman that we think was the leader, and she had some other guys with her, and they had some giant alligators pulling the chariot that the guy was on, I think.
She's got this very. Was it a trident she's got?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we know if they were human or some other race, or...
You can do an insight check.
Okay.
The woman with the trident, you're pretty sure she was not human. You think she seemed to be she was some form of she had blue skin and
Okay.
hair. And you're not quite sure exactly what race she was, but you postulate that she was definitely not human, but she was maybe like one of those races that have an elemental affinity, like maybe not a triton, but maybe she could have been a sea elf. You didn't get to see the ears. Or maybe she was like a water genasi or something like that. But you definitely think she was one of those races that have an affinity with the elements.
Right. So, yeah, obviously, tell
And
them that.
the guy on the chariot was a really big human guy.
And all the cultists that we've come, the Black Earth cultists that we've come across so far as we know, are human or humanoid, apart from Russell the Tabaxi.
The majority of them have been. There's been some either, of course, there's been the goblin associates. There's been a mixture though. There's been a few like halflings here and there, and one of the cultists that um, Belafana and the dwarves killed in the sewers. One of the bodies you found was a dwarf.
Mm.
So they're not all human. They're like
Right,
a
so...
mixture, something that reflects the population of Secomber would be fair.
Right. So I guess it's that, isn't it? It's just saying, look, it's basically, it's any race, it's a cult, it's not a race thing, it's like some weird out of hand religious type thing
Yeah, it's
that...
their belief system.
But you described the water baddies,
Mhm.
um, and the description uh, seems to mean something to him, and he seems to make some kind of realization, and says he's going to. I want you to talk to someone else before. Uh, because I think I hear what I need to from this conversation, but I think I have the information I need to correct the discrepancy, which I will do. Make the ameliorations, the traffic in and out. But there's one other person I would like for you to talk to regarding your experiences and what you've seen. About this time, the guards come back from examining who went off with the barrel of firecrackers and boom explosives. And they come back and they whisper something in his ear, and he nods, and looks a bit, grave. He's like, I definitely want you to talk to, yes, Cudgel. Yes, you need to talk to the second rod, our head of military and arms. Just give a little kind of briefing, and yes, but we're in a precarious situation, and he is really the one to formally address this with you. It's not really so much my business. I'm kind of, well, I'm the screening one. I'm the job board. I'm the screening one. It's a lot for me. Health and welfare. That's my deal. At this point, Belafana kind of pipes up. She's like, "Oh, would you have the blueprints of your sewers then? Because I still would really like to get a copy of those." And she like looks at you guys. What? I mean, that's the whole reason why I wanted to stop here.
Could you not have just asked him that instead of going down there?
Well, I was gonna do that the next day. I didn't know it was gonna turn to a whole thing. I was doing a little bit of like a side trip research at night because I was excited, and then the next day I was going to come up here and ask for them, but stuff happened, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
And Foxtrot is just like, that would be Darian Logan. He's in charge of sanitation. I'm afraid I don't have control of those records. It kind of looks side to side. I don't think Daryl Logan is in the office today. Hmm. He was on scene. Um, yeah, I'm not quite sure where he is right now, but you'll have to wait till another day. We have a little bit too much going on to go looking for the sewer records, the blueprints right now. It's a lot. It's a lot. Lady Belfano looks a little bit kind of put out by that, because she's thinking about how long that you guys have already, she's already paid for days lodging for all the animals and stuff, and she kind of shrugs and says, "Oh, yeah, these two people here will volunteer. Like they will say they're your citizens, and my friends rescued them. Yes, without being asked. There wasn't like a job board posting for that. But considering they rescued these two and another guy, and they rescued my people from certain doom and drowning, would there be any kind of reward for that kind of heroic action to show your appreciation? Um, I mean, I would assume that if Secomber showed their appreciation, then my friends would be very happy to, very happy to,
Oh, that
very,
cherry's kicking in.
very very happy to help, maybe with whatever trouble you have going on, provided it can be completed, on a timely basis, because we do have kind of a schedule.
Oh, Dad.
I don't know if I should have her do a persuasion check or just like have him agree. I will make Lady Bellafana do a persuasion check, unless you guys want to say something else to like help to assist her in convincing you deserve a reward
Um,
for rescuing people.
um, what do we say? Yes, we were very heroic.
I don't think there's anything else we can say, really. So.
I don't know. I kind of thought that maybe Kai would have something to say about getting more money.
Well, I think Kai's like, well, if I better keep my mouth shut because I might not get out.
I mean, it's fair to say that we got here, we signed into the tavern, and then we haven't actually been at the tavern since. And how long's that been? A day and a half?
Yeah, almost a day now.
So,
Okay, she does fair. She does 14 on her persuasion check. So she doesn't completely flub it. And Baggin Foxtrot, he nods. He looks over at the two villagers who've shown up in the office, and they like kind of pitch in and nod and say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were dead. We would have drowned. We would have never seen our families again, and we really appreciate these people who saved our lives, and they escorted us all the way back to Secomber safely, risking great harm in the process." Bag Baggin, like, he nods and he says, "Well, yes, I will take that under consideration. Uh, you citizens, you have been through a great deal. Uh, I think my business with you two is done. Feel free to go home. We have your names. We have your addresses. If we have any further questions, um, please don't leave the town next day or two." And as he says this to the two citizens, you hear Lady Bellavana make a little squeak, like, "Uh-oh, she better not tell us that. I don't want to hear it." But the two citizens kind of say, say thank you to all of you again and bid farewells, and they leave the office. And one of the guards, kind of ushers them out. Um, and and Baggins Fatra kind of lets out a sigh. He's like, I didn't really want to talk about monies, kind of valuing their lives when they were in the room. But would say another 300 gold for the three citizens you rescued? Would that be would you feel valued? Would your efforts? I think that would be a good sign of our appreciation
I think
for
that would cover our lost
your part in
tavern fees.
Hmm.
protecting the town from this cultist activity. And
That would be much appreciated.
with your acquiescence, there's another ring in the doorbell, and here's Digby. Digby comes running, and he has like a pouch in one hand, and he's kind of like breathing heavy, like he's been running down the hall at the sound of the bell, and he looks like, what, boss? And Bag and Foxtrot is like, another 300 gold, and he's like, Digby just kind of like, again, and he like gives the first bag to Bag and Foxtrot, and then he goes running back out the door again, and you hear like pat 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 of his feet down the hall as he runs away, trying to get it done quickly, and and Baggin makes a big rush of like, a big production of handing you the bag of 300 gold for the killing of the giant slug in the sewers.
Yay!
Well, at least we got paid for it.
So add 300 gold to the party inventory. And you wait around for another minute for Digby. Another couple minutes. And there's just like some awkward like silence as everyone's like kind of like looking around the room waiting. Bag and Foxtrot, he's like, so, because he doesn't want to tackle any of the actual business that's left. He's leaving it for this next person, but he wants to wait for Digby to bring you your monies. So he's like, so, have you gotten to enjoy any of the sights and sounds and wonderful spectacle of Secomber so far?
Really didn't have a chance.
Oh, that's a
But
shame. That's a shame.
you've got a lovely sewer system set up.
Oh, that we do. It's very fortunate. The ruins are underneath. We were able to repurpose them quite nicely, I guess. I don't. It's not really my area of expertise, but I hear those sewers are something. Ha- Have so you haven't seen any? You haven't participated in any of the nightlife?
No, we were gonna,
No.
but things sort of got away from us.
I mean, there's several plays in town. I mean, you could check those out. Yes. I mean, do you have any hobbies? Do you have any interests other than cultists and sewers?
Actually, I'm gonna bring out the bathhouse card. We've been told this place is quite good. Do you know of it?
Why, Steam and Stone.
Hmm.
It is the premier bathhouse in Secomber. It's owned by one of the Rods,
Oh, really? Which one?
Daryl Logan. Yes, the sanitation. He points at Belfana. That's the fellow you would want to talk to for your sanitation blueprints.
Interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
Daryl. He's quite a businessman. He also owns the night spot. It's a bit racy. Uh, the cat and the cucumber, but there's a multiple form of entertainment there. There's gambling and games and general conversation, salon, and other things. Yes. So yeah, quite a businessman, quite man of all seasons is our Dario Logan.
Well, maybe we will run into him at some point then, especially if Lady Belafona approaches him about the sewer plants. And in my head, I'm going. In my head, screaming, "Dodgy, dodgy!"
uh, my notes say, Lady Belafona, you are associated with the Lord's Alliance. Is that correct? She's like, yeah. So Are you staying on Lord's Hill? I have your residence as being the Singing Sprite Inn. Is that correct? You're not upon Lord's Hill? She's like, no, that's not really my scheme. And yeah, he nods. You guys can do another insight check.
Hang on. Oh my god, that's it. I've used all my good rolls up.
Is it like Yelena rolled a 17?
It's a good job in it.
Yeah, like Terrell and Kai, you guys are just kind of tired and you're like kind of awkwardly waiting around for the money and you're like, okay, when is it gonna get here? Come on, Digby. But Yelena, you kind of pick out this exchange when Bag and Foxtrot was kind of like pumping Lady Bellafana for information like about, you know, trying to you get the sense that he was trying to gauge like how affiliated, how close she is to the other people at Lord's Hill. And when she said they aren't really her speed, they aren't really her kind of people, he seemed to react to that positively. Like that kind of raised his estimation of her in the scheme of things.
And the Lord's Alliance is like that's different to the Rods, yeah?
Yes. So Lord's Alliance is a
Who's
faction that of basically nobles from the major cities along the Sword Coast.
so it almost seems like anybody who's affiliated with the cult is probably somebody high ranking. They're probably it's not the soldiers, because we're not sensing that right now.
Yeah, you're not sensing that in this room, and you're not really sensing that from this particular leader of Secomber.
So
But
the
he doesn't
Rods.
seem to really have a good impression of the people at Lord's Hill either. Like he's not a fan.
Okay, but the Rods run Secomber, and the
Yeah,
Lord's Alliance are from like all over the place.
right. Like the rods are the law and the administration of Secomber, the town.
Right.
Lord's Hill is a fort that Lord's Alliance has built that happens to be here. Terrell, I say you can do a history check.
Okay. Also, not my best, but ooh.
Um, with a 15, you have some idea that the Lord's Hill, by and large, the most powerful people in the Lord's Alliance, the ones who really call the shots in the Lord's Alliance are in the major cities like Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep, and Neverwinter. You also have people who are lower ranking, like servants of the Lord's Alliance, that are either like lesser nobility or younger members or just soldiers or something who have taken on a role of being part of this organization, who look out for the interests of kind of like civilization across the Sword Coast and the Savage Frontier. And you have an understanding that that's how Lady Bellafana kind of got put in charge of Parnast. That she's not from Parnast, but her family is rich and has influence and is part of the Lord's Alliance. When Parnast was wrecked and struggling, they sent her out there as, this noble lady to be the boss in charge. So she was like granted, given a land grant and a governorship of this little podunk town in the east. Similarly, like the Shieldbriar family, like Lord Jomont's family in Oakshield, they're kind of like just the designees of, hey, you're going to be the people like in charge of this area in this town. And it was actually one of his ancestors that founded that place. He was like given a charter to go find a town in this area from a member of the Lord's Alliance and the government of Silvery Moon. So you're like, yeah, you'll run into people representing the Lord's Alliance all over the place, all over the land, and the most important people are going to be in big cities, and you don't have much experience with those people. But roaming around the countryside, you run into all kinds of different like players, and people are actively working in the interests of these noble families and their different villages and towns that are under their protection. You also have a perspective that this fort in Secomber, it's one of the few forts of its kind where there's like an active bastion of soldiers that belong to the Lord's Alliance. But you also know that it has the reputation of being the place in recent years where misfits and ne'er-do-wells and members of the Lord's Alliance who have perhaps fucked up in other areas or created scandal for their families, those scions are kind of shuttled off here to kind of disappear and be out of harm's way, but also where they can't do too much trouble as far as the Lord's Alliance is concerned.
Right.
So it's like it's a fortress, but it's like a fortress of like frat boys and sorority sisters or
Rejects.
something. Of rejects or something, and not the good kind of, rejects that band together and rise above and save the world, but like rejects who are just kind of, shitty people.
Okay.
Like they're kind of like entitled wastrels and jerks and really don't have necessarily any skills at the job they're there to do, but they have connections and often
that's where
money.
Lord John was staying.
That is where Lord Domon is staying.
Well,
Yeah. He didn't I mean I could do another insight check. Never
what?
mind.
To work out if he's an
We'll move on.
actual
This
douchebag.
This has been enough time.
Okay.
Yeah, check for douchebag. You still kind of think he's a douchebag.
I can't tell. My radar's off for douchebags.
You have a certain bias where Lord Jomon is concerned, and nothing that's been said today or nothing that you've encountered recently has changed that opinion of him. And you also keep in mind that there's something in your head that's like dodgy about him and that missing ring of Lady Belafana's. That whole jewelry thing is kind of weird. So you don't trust him a lick. But by the time all of this kind of like musing and a little bit of conversation is past, Digby returns with yet another bag of 300 gold. So your party gold is up to 600. And then the guards escort you out of this office. Baggin Foxtrot bids you farewell, good day, and you are ushered around the corner, down the hall, and towards the other office where Yelena and Kai spotted the tabaxi earlier. You're ushered inside. The people who look like fishers are no longer present, but the paunchy tabaxi in half plate is seated behind a desk. There is a map of Secomber behind him with different like lines and circles and spots, and you see like little like stickers and stuff and pins marking
His pins and string.
pins and string, and he's been playing with it.
There's stuff all over the floor that he's knocked off his desk.
No, the floor is clean, but there's like a clerk. There is a clerk who's like picking up a paperweight, so like you don't know, paperweight, a couple like a pencil, a stylus. So you don't know what happened before you entered the
Quick,
room.
Rich, can you use a fireball to do like a red laser light thing? Oh wait, she's got the sneezes. We've got to see the tabaxi is a cat, so I was just saying if you do the red. Yeah, there we go. She got it now. Ah dear.
This tabaxi introduces themselves. I'm Cudgel Mousetrap. I'm the second rod of Secomber.
Hang on, Cudgel Mousetrap.
Cudgel Mousetrap. Yes, that's my name.
Love it.
Wow.
You can call me Captain Cudgel if you want to, but just call me Cudgel. I'm not exceedingly formal in my office. Out and about in the city, I would prefer second rod, however. I hear that you have encountered the water cultists.
We've encountered 2 sets of cultists.
Well, yes, I've heard about 2, but I'm most specifically, in this moment, interested in the water people. It's the more urgent issue I think that the town needs to address. Today, this afternoon, a few hours ago, there was an attack upon the riverside of Secomber from some people claiming to be with the crushing wave. They did an exceeding amount of damage. They rose the tides of the river. There was death of a dozen citizens. And they left a very telling message. They were seeking an ambassador of the crushing wave that they believed was being held somewhere within Secomber proper. Now,
Well, that's interesting, because isn't that what she wanted from the cultists?
I would like a description of the people you encountered in the Forlorn Hills. And by the way, what do you have a more precise location of where in the Forlorn Hills these people were being kept?
What I know from
No.
popping my head up, well, I did pop my head up and looked around and saw red sand.
You did?
You guys definitely know that you were at the Red Cliff Quarry.
Okay.
You definitely
All
know
right,
that.
okay.
You might
Because
not
we
remember
knew
it.
it were like, yeah, we knew there
But
were
at the
definite mines,
time,
didn't
like
we?
2 months ago, you did know that. When we were
Okay.
playing
At
2
one
months
point,
ago,
yeah.
you totally had that information presented to you. And if you don't know, then like Lady Belafana will be like, "I was the Red Cliff Quarry." Though she doesn't talk like that at all. So he was like, "Okay, Red Cliff, Red Cliff. What condition
All
was
right.
the
So I
wave?"
guess we just give them the
2
description that we
things:
gave her.
description of the people you encountered, and the second, do you know what the condition was of the quarry when you left it? Could there be additional survivors? Should we do a retrieval? Do you know how many
Well,
citizens were there, or did you rescue everyone?
I don't think we rescued everyone, but the crushing wave was also there, and we're also asking for their ambassador, and they let loose a whole ton of water in the mines. So I do not know if they flooded the whole area and drowned anyone that couldn't escape.
His shoulders kind of slump, and his eyes kind of get that shining little broken-hearted cat look.
No.
I was afraid of that. We were given an ultimatum. We have 2 days in order to locate this emissary and present them to the river. I have no idea who it is. I have no idea who we are looking for. I don't even know their name. I'm given the impression from Bag and Foxtrot that you have probably the most familiarity with these cultists and what they're about, outside of the cultists themselves. So I commend you, if you are willing to put in the service, to locate this emissary for us. If you cannot do it in the time, I'm afraid that this water cult will come back and they will take a toll upon our town, and we are not fully prepared to defend ourselves.
And is that all they said? They just said they wanted their emissary back?
Yes. Give him to the river, they said. They want him back alive.
And there's no one that you have maybe locked up that could be this person?
We have scoured the prisons. I don't know if it's smugness, but up until recently, we've had very little crime and very few prisoners that were having to be under lock and key here in Secombers. Only upon the death of our patron, Amelia Amanatas, that these things have begun to rear their ugly head again. But the people who are in prison currently are usual drunkards and vandals. We haven't apprehended anyone for serious crimes. Though I will admit, recently there have been a string of um, exceptional vandalism and robberies over the past week. The jewelry
Yeah,
store was the
that's
hardest
probably the
hit.
cultists.
And I'm to understand that Elkhorn Emporium was broken into last evening.
We're fairly sure that was the cultist, aren't
Mm-hmm.
If you think the cultists broke into the Emporium, I'm wondering if this hasn't been a concerted effort on their part to steal from other businesses.
we? It sounds like they're trying to get stuff that they can use for money. I'm not sure how we can find an emissary, though, if that's all we've got.
Do you have
What
any
cult emissary?
insight as to where the cults might be acting in town? How are they getting in and out? Their numbers, possible connections that we can follow up on, or that you could follow up on in our stead. I have a lot under my plate. I'm trying to see if I can bolster up the defenses of our city, perhaps working in tandem with Lord's Hill to defend us in case there is another incursion. The only other thing I can think of that would be of use to Secomber right now is, well, gaining control of the golems again. The Amelia Monetas, the defense of our town from outside threats, protecting us from the goblins and the gnolls that roam the moors and other potential threats to Secomber. Our defense was always the creatures that Amelia Monetas had under his control. He had a way with the gargoyles that came up from the ruins below, and he had constructed several large golems that acted as army and warriors in our times of need. But upon his death, we do not have the control words for those creatures anymore. So they're either inactive or chaotic. If you could reacquire these codes, I think we would be in good position to defend against any attack that might happen if we do not find this emissary in town. Maybe it would buy us more time, at least.
Okay. So we've got two options. We can try and find the control words for the golems, or we try and find the emissary through, I don't know, stalking the cultists in the sewers.
We need a
Yeah.
break from the sewers.
I want to go sleep. That is what Tyrell wants to
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
Tyrell wants to
Yeah,
go
like you've been in
back to
these,
the
you've
B&B
been
and
sitting
just
around at the
crash.
DMV for another 2 hours now, and you're like, man, I just want to go to sleep. Can we talk about this tomorrow? He adds that we've sent the codes, we are almost 100% certain are within Amelia's cottage. And I've sent a group of my men. I know the Lord's Hill has sent multiple groups themselves trying to retrieve these codes, which is a little concerning that they would take that upon themselves. But the new captain, Captain Agundar, he is, well, he's rather self-interested.
How new is the captain?
He's been here a few years. He's a wastrel, and he causes as much problems as his presence solves. I know he's trying to get these codes. He says it is for Secomber to hand over to me, but I don't trust him. I think he's going to keep them for himself.
So do we let this guy know that it sounds like there are cultists in high positions in Secomber? And then see if he reacts in a way that suggests that he might be one of them.
Do you volunteer? Do you ask him that?
Sort of suggest that it's a possibility. Be kind of vague about it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I meant Cudgel himself. I mean, the guard captain sounds dodgy, but I mean, does Cudgel sound like he could? I don't know. It's too convoluted. Ah, don't trust anyone.
The groups we have sent into the cottage so far, they have been stymied entering beyond beyond the the sitting room, just beyond the entrance, to delve further into Emilier's home. He was a powerful wizard, and there's bound to be protections in place. He had great knowledge and arcane mysteries unraveled and stored there, so I'm sure he put up protections, and regular soldiers have not had any success thus far. So even even his old apprentice, who runs Bench Bloomwiffler, who runs the alchemist shop right now, was his last apprentice. As far as I know, he hasn't had any success, and he has tried as well to go deeper into Amelia's cottage and find anything of use. So it would not necessarily be an easy task. But if you are heroically minded, I would ask that you consider it as a possibility. If not that, then follow up on any location or connection that you are aware of tied to these cultists in our town that might get you closer to locating this emissary within the next 2 days. If I can help in any way, if it's something at our disposal, by all means ask. But my hands are tied, and I feel the burden. There's a lot to do, and I don't know if I have the resources to do all of it.
Okie dokie.
Do you think you're up to assisting in either of these matters? Or should I seek out perhaps some other adventurers? I could reach out to the Adventurers Guild, and perhaps there will be someone who will answer the call.
Alright,
I'm
hold
just
up a thing I say. Hold, please. And we'll huddle. What do we think?
huddling, and
Oh,
Lady Bellafana kind of like squeezes in there too.
Alright,
Okay,
so
what are you
we've got
doing?
so there's the alchemist cottage. We've got Kai. Maybe he can do something. If not, he can fireball his way through the cottage. But I'm not sure that's the best approach. But double-edged sword. If the guy who had the cottage was a powerful wizard, you might find something interesting there for yourself as well. Other hand, the emissary. We know that the bathhouse is somewhat to do with the cultists, so we could try and scope that place out. So it's up to you guys. Which do you think is going to be the best approach? Golems, the wizard's cottage, or bathhouse? That's the only place I can think of that we've got as a connection, other than going all the way back through the sewers or going to the quarry.
Lady Bellafana is like, which one do you think is going to take less time?
Well, yeah.
well, we can get a bath at the bathhouse.
I mean, you got all your business done
That's
here other than saving the town, right? And all I have to do is get blueprints.
Did we find the statue?
No, we
Yeah,
haven't. So we've still got the Elkhorn Emporium to visit to get the statue, but he's disappeared, hasn't
what
he?
statue? What statue? Do everybody do a history check with advantage. I mean, I don't know if I want to remind you of stuff or not, but yeah, do a check for it.
Yay, Kai.
Kai's the only one destined to remember anything. So, Kai, you remember Pashov, the stuff that Pashov was telling you. Oh, your old friend, the Pashov, outside of the Elkhorn Emporium.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you couldn't get inside, and then the place got robbed. But as far as you know, as far as you can tell, the statue you were supposed to pick up wasn't among the stuff that you got to look at out of the loot from that was stolen from there. Um, but Pashov told you two people who might have a key to Elkhorn Emporium. One of them was Ernest Elkhorn, the proprietor's ex-wife, who runs the seven-stringed harp tavern. The other was actually Amelia Romanitas. Had a key once upon a time, and he told you to check in with his old apprentice at the alchemist shop to see if it was there. But
Right.
Kai remembers that there is a connection that Amelia Romanitas is possibly somebody who had a key to the place where your statue is probably, based off what you know, is still there.
And we
Okay.
know from Bellafauna's scouting that the cultists want to get their hands on the golems anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way to go. We're killing like 3 things at that point. We can approach the apprentice for the key and for information about the wizard's cottage. We can go to the wizard's cottage and try and find the control words. We stop this guard captain who could or could not be a member of the cult anyway, if Cudgel thinks he's a bit dodgy as well. And we scupper the cultists getting hold of the golems as well, and it helps with the water cult. Wow, that's more than that's loads of things crossed off in one go if we can sort that out. But
All in one go.
yeah, I don't think it'll be that easy. But it's up to you guys. I mean, I'm alright for doing that.
We give it a bath.
But we could visit the bathhouse as well and just have a bath and see if we can find anything that might help.
Yeah, I like it.
You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, see what pans out. I mean, who knows? One thing might work out faster than the other, but everything is an opportunity for something. I mean, at worst, you're going to get a bath out of it.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure we all need a bath desperately.
And maybe you get a nap and some shopping done too. On the way to the bathhouse. So have you said, I mean, you guys talked about it, but you never actually committed to saying anything about how you overheard suggestions that somebody high up in Secomber was in with the cultists.
I mean, it depends on whether we think this Cudgel is trustworthy. I mean, he seems trustworthy from what he said, but I mean, who knows?
Are you going to say or do anything to try to gauge his what he knows?
I'm not sure how.
Okay, let's leave it at that then. I just want to make sure I had the opportunity.
Let me sleep on it.
So you've huddled. Lady Bellafana has encouraged doing something, but doing whatever is the quickest thing. She's like, okay, if we have to stay here another 2 days, I guess we can. I mean, it would be pretty terrible.
I mean, she can go on ahead if she wants to go and get her wyvern out of the area. I would say she could go on, and we would catch her up.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna get a full rest because I would have to sneak out and rendezvous because we were supposed to be leaving tomorrow morning. Do you realize we were supposed to be leaving Secomber tomorrow morning and it's 9 p.m. Within 10 hours we were supposed to be leaving here, and we all need baths. We haven't eaten a full meal. We haven't slept, and I don't have my wyvern, and I have to go get Euphoria in the morning, go to the rendezvous point, and hope that whoever's trying to capture her has not captured her. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah.
Well, the job missive was still on the board. I spotted that, so that would suggest that they've not captured her yet.
You think? Oh,
I mean, hopefully.
They would pull it down if it was no longer applicable, right? That's a good point. I hope. I wonder if
I think you should. I think you should. Go out in the morning and tell her to hide.
I want to go now, but it's. I'm so tired and it's dark, and I think that might be. I mean, after today.
I'm also fairly sure they won't let you back out of the town.
Oh shit! What if they don't let me out of the town? What if I try to go if they have it on lockdown and we aren't supposed to leave, or they won't let anybody leave?
I point to Cudgel and say, speak to him. He wants our help. I'm fairly sure he will give you a pass.
Excuse me, Mr. Cudgel, Mr. Rod, sir. I just need to tomorrow morning, I just need to like dob right outside the gate, just like maybe for like 2 hours max. Just 2 hours. And I want to make it like all official. And I don't want to like, ruin your security groove or anything. But I really, really just need to go and like pick up um, something really important. And her eyes kind of bulge out a little bit because she doesn't know what to say. Is that possible? Since yeah, my friends are like going to help. You're gonna help. You're gonna do something for them. What are you doing? What did you decide to do? Terrell, tell them. Or yeah, Kai, Yelena, what are you guys doing for Secomber?
We potentially have a lead on somewhere we can check for the emissary, which we are gonna swing by, but I think we're gonna focus on the golems and the alchemists.
Mhm.
So we're gonna try both, but we're gonna focus on the alchemists and getting you the control words for the golems.
Excellent, excellent. If I can offer assistance, if you find you need something, I will do whatever is within my ability and resources to aid you. And I truly appreciate that you are stepping forward as visitors to our town to assist where we cannot assist ourselves. As for you, Lady Bellafana, what exactly do you need to leave the gate for? And she's kind of like flustered. She's, I'm going to do a scouting thing in for their activities. Yeah, I'm gonna just a quick look see for cultists in the morning. And she's going to roll a persuasion check unless somebody wants to assist her.
Um,
Or no, she's gonna roll deception since she's not totally being above board.
I can't even think of all to suggest as a way of helping her. Oh no!
And she's just kind of like awkwardly like, yeah, I'm scouting, and he kind of narrows his eyes. Are you sure one of your
Um. Oh, what can we say? What can we say? What can we say? She needs
is it
to go
something I could
out.
send? I mean, perhaps my guards are going to be doing patrols on the exterior. Is it something that
No, no, she needs to do it. She.
she's the only one who can do this?
Um. Oh God, what can we say?
Anyone else? Anyone? Yelena, Kai?
I don't have anything left.
No,
Oh,
I
no.
have nothing. No, nothing.
All I can think of is say that we left one of our team outside, for scouting, just in case, and she wants to alert them to what's happening, and obviously just tell them to keep an eye out for anything weird and to let us know
Oh,
if they spot anything.
oh, that wasn't clear before. An external. Oh, you have an outside person. Oh, do they have a name? Just so I can make a note, just in case they ever do have to come into town, that they aren't barred.
It's Bob.
Bob something.
Bob.
Bellafana pipes. It's Bob Euphoria. They're from Kalimshan. Yeah, really far away. They get nervous in cities. Bob Kalimshan. I mean, no, Bob Euphoria. Bob Euphoria.
Bobby's Faria.
He's not helping at all. But yeah, he seems to kind of like accept this explanation that you have somebody on the outside who's been like keeping a lookout. Um, and he nods. He nods. Well, I thank you. It is. I won't keep you any longer. Um, I would appreciate perhaps at the end of the day tomorrow if you've made any progress to give a report so I can adjust my actions accordingly.
Of course.
Um, but is there anything else I can offer you before I let you go for the evening?
I don't think there's all we. I mean, we
That
don't want transport or all that, do we? So
that
no.
you know might assist you. Well, he He sums
If
up.
we think of out, we'll let you know.
He kind of nervously like knocks something off of his desk. And then he bends down, picks it up. It's like a little calling card, and he extends it to you. And it's just like this calling card that has like a picture of like a rod stamped on it and his name that just says Second Rod, Captain Cudgel, Mousetrap, Militia and Arms. If you have to come back and seek an audience, just present that. It will allow you to cut through some of the red tape.
Cool.
I'll bid you good
Okay.
evening. And he nods to the guards, says, escort them out the building and let them go on their way. So
Yay.
they escort you out. They bid you farewell. You're at the top of the stairs at the municipal offices on First Hill. Left to do what you will. And I think that's where we'll wrap up since we're past 4 o'clock. For next
Cool.
session.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. You guys got back pretty quickly. I mean, I was really hoping that you would get back at Secomber just in time for a little adventurer's break. So that there would be time to actually have Secomber stuff.
Well, it sets us up for next session, doesn't it? So
that worked well. I also was like every single thing that you could have discovered or run into or found, or almost every single thing you managed to bypass with your rolls.
wow.
Yay.
Like there was a chance you were going to run into the Rat King or something like that.
All right, I've got a sneaky suspicion we can't do the next D&D session because I think it would be the 19th of August.
Let's see what we've got going on. Okay, Pathfinder on the 30th of July. August is...
Do we do it the third Saturday of every?
Is... You're
Yeah,
right.
we're doing
The 19th. The 19th would be D&D.
Right. Unfortunately, we can't do that because it's Pride and we are going. So
Well, you should be prideful. Okay. Does the 26th work?
I think we're good either side. So it's down to Kim really. Whatever
Or
works
the
best for you
12th?
guys. Yeah.
I could do the 12th or the 26th.
I think either of those right now is fine.
I kind of like the 12th because that would make it a month from now, I think.
Sure.
And we wouldn't have like a 6-week wait rather than I mean we were looking at a 5-week wait before, and 6-week wait would definitely nobody would remember anything. Okay, so the 12th next session, and just some feedback. Are you guys feeling overwhelmed by the amount of stuff going on?
Don't think so. Just need to get his ducks in a row, don't we, next time?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe lay out what we got to do and what order we're gonna do it in.
Planning.
Yeah, we need to plan.
We're good. We're good at planning. On the fly.
Yeah,
That's so good.
execution of said plans aren't quite as good, but yeah.
I'm feeling a little
We'll
bit
give
like
it a
I've given you 99 problems and naps is not one of them.
Yeah, we
Okay. And for next session, to kind of where your head's at, I mean, I'm getting the impression that what do you think you're going to target first? I know I assume you're going back to the inn to get some sleep and stuff.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely need a long rest. So
To get that long
Yeah.
rest goodness.
rest and bath, maybe.
yeah. So if we have a
Are you gonna shop
evening,
and
isn't it?
shop and bath, or bath and
Yeah.
shop, or
Bath and shop, maybe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I could do with some healing potions before we start going into some crazy wizard's house. So
you think you're likely to just like shop and bath and not wizard cottage? To follow up in the wizard cottage. Just to know what I should concentrate on next session.
we want to. I need to
Sorry.
get some potions. I don't know what you guys need. Call call by the bath, see if that gives us any information.
See if there's anything cool to buy.
Yeah, that we either follow up on or pass on to Cudgel, and then make us way to. Do we want to see the alchemist, the wizard's apprentice, before we go to his cottage? See if he can give us any useful information. Or we just go up to the cottage and see what we can do.
That his the alchemy shop is actually that's a shop where you could go shopping.
Oh, so we could do both at the same time.
Both. I like it.
If you're gonna
That's
go
a good
shopping,
idea. We are going to cover everything in multiple ways as much as possible.
If you're gonna go shopping, hey, that's a place you can get shop. So I mean, depending on your purchasing interest, you might be going there anyway.
So, bath, alchemist shop for shopping and information, and then alchemist cottage.
That sounds
or
good.
Wizard's cottage or whatever it is.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So that's the next 4 sessions.
Yeah.
Sorted.
4 sessions to cover 1 day's action.
Oh dear.
Well, sounds like D&D actually.
Yeah.
Definitely
Really does.
sounds like this campaign. I mean, whoa.
Yeah, it's great.
Right.
But you know, if you get it all done tomorrow, Lady Bellefonte is going to be so pepped. She can pop out.
I think Lady Bellefonte's not going to get what she wants.
Pop out of town the next morning, only 1 day behind. That's her best case scenario right now. Okay, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I hope that wasn't dreary because it's all just, trekking through places and there weren't any encounters and...
No, because it
a whole lot of talking.
The thinking and stuff, so...
And you still don't know what the green boots do.
That's right. We'll figure that out.
You can tune them overnight, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Go to sleep with your boots on.
Yeah, or put them under the pillow.
The boot fairy will come and
that's right.
Reveal all in the morning.
Right, we're going to disappear.
Thanks, everyone.
Right, lovely.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Bye. See ya.